Hello, everybody. How are we doing? You feel the sunshine? I love this song, Citrus. This song is just pure joy. Fortunately, talking about Risk of Rain, so we gotta put on some Risk. But, definitely open stream with that a bit more. Let me set up. Good, that's good, that's good. I'm so sorry I missed your stream last night, Citrus. I know, I thought I had notifications on, and it's fine. To end early, that's a shame. But next time, I have notifications on this time, so I will make an appearance next time. But today, we have our items tier list for Risk of Rain, and this is gonna be interesting. I haven't thought about it at all since last time. This time, let's get into it. So, armor repulsion plate is fine. I'm not gonna take the time to talk about each one. Some of these items, like armor repulsion plate, is fine. I don't really ever think about it. Like, it's never like oh, I don't want to get this, or oh, I got armor repulsion plate. It's just kind of like I pick it up, cool. It's there, it helps. Not much more. Mocha, a little bit better. Mocha gives attack speed, it gives a bit of damage in the items. I didn't know you could do that until recently. But Mocha's always a good pickup. If I ever see a printer for it, it's a good printing item too. Turn the music down a little bit. Oh, Topaz, it's another one of those items. Bear's really, really nice. But it does get eclipsed by something we'll be seeing a bit later. But especially before that item came out, and even if you just can't get the Void Bear's still good. It's something you print into. Schools have been canceled for tomorrow. Oh, that's exciting. You said you're getting snow. Are you getting snow in Georgia? That's exciting. That's not every day. But yeah, A tier, I'd say at least printable. Like, this is something, I'm never going to put something in here that you're not going to print. Like, you're never going to print, like, this guy, or, well, we'll get there when we get there. Dagger is a lower A tier. I could see myself printing it, but not very often. I'm not going to go for many stacks. Be gnarly, but snow. That's still fun, though. APR is one of the few S tier white items, because yeah, it's these group of ones that actually increase your damage output by a significant margin. I'm gonna grab them all right now, actually. Here's the last one. It's Focus Crystal. Focus Crystal's the only one of those, like, these 5 damaging items. You could probably beat the game with 5 stacks of each and nothing else. They are like your bread and butter. You're not gonna get a run. You need at least one of these to win a run, usually. You can win without them, but, like, they take even a bad player to even being able to, like, beat Mythics. These items are if you see a printer for them and you got a lot of bad white items or a white scrap, you're printing it, right? Already a short week, came back Wednesday, but now we're off Friday. Yeah, that's interesting. That if they knew they were gonna close Friday, why open Thursday? But either way, we have. Oh, what's the new name for this item? I'm not super familiar with the Survivors of the Storm. Is it Survivors of the Storm? Seekers of the Storm items. Oh, I think this one's also just fine. What does, let me pull it up on my other monitor. all risk of rain item descriptions, so I can get a fair opinion of this. 'Cause I genuinely just don't know some of the. So, Warped Echo. Whenever the holder takes damage, 30% of the incoming damage is completely reduced, and the other 70% is split into plus one per stack. Hits all echoed damage is non-lethal besides the final hit. Item recharge is every 15 seconds, minus 3% per stack. It's fine, right? It's the same. There's an issue with. Actually, I'm gonna move this down a little bit. There's an issue with the damage reduction items of. People will always say, well, if I had the damage output to kill everything that's damaging me, I wouldn't need them to begin with. I'm gonna listen to stream while hatching more grubby. So, yeah, go for it. So a lot of the damage preventative items aren't good. This is a really bad item. I'm not gonna put it in F. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't actively hurt you, it just does actually nothing. It adds 25 HP, plus 25 per stack. It's not good. 25 HP at the end of the game is not even 1/400th of your health bar on some characters. If you're playing Loader, if you're playing Multi, if you're playing... Who are the other bulky ones? If you're playing any character that has any amount of bulk, Acrid, if you're playing... I think Void Fiend has a decent amount of health. It's just nothing. It's just not worth anything. Even on frailer characters like Huntress, you get... like 600-700 health at the end of the game. That's still not a lot. It's just not worth it. This might as well be a white scrap. It's pretty much just a white scrap. Bundle of Fireworks is really good. I don't know if I'd ever print it though. Same with the Roll of Pennies. Bundle of Fireworks releases fireworks whenever you interact with something. So that's any chests, teleporter, shrines. That's your coin barrels. Pretty good. It's really good on a lot of the melee survivors that struggle with a lot of the aerial enemies. Again, Loader, you have Acrid, Merc. Sometimes struggle with them, Merc less so. But especially for me, I play a lot of Loader. Pretty good item. It helps a lot. Roll of Pennies just speeds things up, but again, it's nothing like you shouldn't ever print this. Like, I'd put Bundle of Fireworks above everything else because there are some scenarios where you can and you should print it. Like, if you pick up an ICBM, I'd say print it. At least get a couple of them, right? Especially if you don't have any, then you're just wasting a red item. But these guys, they're nice, but like you shouldn't ever print Econ, ever. Healing's another thing. This is Cautious Slug, I want to say? Right? I clicked on Fireworks. This is Cautious Slug. After the holder avoids damage for 7 seconds, their health regeneration is increased by 3 HP per second. Really, honestly, it doesn't sound great until they take damage again. Additionally, the regeneration is increased by 0.6 HP per stack per player level. This scales pretty damn well. This is usually one of my more favorite healing items. I'd say, again, I wouldn't ever stack healing. B tier. This is... I'm blanking on all the names. I usually just call it Potion. Power Elixir. Heals... When you're below 25% HP, heals a flat 75% HP. It's fine. You don't ever want to see yourself getting that low. I'd put it C tier. It's not great. Movement. This is Paul's Goat Hoof. Increases all of your movement speed by, I don't know the number, but it's a decent amount. It stacks well. It's good to print. There's better movement, in my opinion. Some people say this is the end-all be-all of movement. I prefer energy drink, but still pretty good. Gasoline. I believe killing an enemy gives AoE fire, just burns everything in the area. Pretty good. Stacking it is really good. Increases range, increases damage, increases the duration of the burning. Pairs very well. Has good synergies with this guy down here. That is we'll get there. We'll get there. Next we have Chronic Expansion. This is a longer one. Every time the player kills an enemy, they gain an increased damage buff stack, which increases the damage by 3.5% up to maximum of 10. Buff lasts for 7 seconds and is refreshed every time the player kills or deals damage to an enemy. So, if you're going on a killing spree, if there's a ton of enemies nearby, you're going to get a ton of damage buffs. So it's pretty good later game when you're almost always killing enemies. It's not great on Mithrix. You're not killing a lot of enemies on Mithrix, which is where it falls a little bit. It's really good on stages like 3 through 5, and when you're going through the... Other than that, I can't really... I don't know if I'd ever recommend printing this, though, because it's not good on Mithrix. I wouldn't ever print anything that doesn't help on Mithrix, because that is the part of the fight. Next we have, I believe that is Bolstering Lantern, unless they changed the name of it. We have Bolstering Lantern. Reach enemy and ally within 20 plus 5 per stack meters, gain lower health, firing damage buff, which increases attack speed by 10% up to a maximum of 4. Okay, that's a lot of words. 1 stack of this item at its maximum potential is nearly equivalent to having 3 soldier syringes. That's pretty good. Enemies that have a health bar, such as destructible pots in Abandoned Aqueduct or the rocks on Sky Meadow, also grant the buff. That's interesting. Not very consistent, though. It just seems like a less consistent soldier syringe, but a bit better in certain scenarios. Again, it seems very situational. I wouldn't recommend. It's about this. It's pretty similar to Chronic Expansion. Medkit, C tier, another one of these sustain items that, like, they're fine, they're good. This one's at least better than those. Actually, I'm probably gonna put this in B tier. It's pretty good. I'm never complaining when I get one, and I almost never scrap it. But other than that, not much to it. I'd say, so to define the tiers, F is unusable garbage. I wouldn't ever pick it up. D, absolutely 100% of the time scrap it if you can. It's not going to add anything and it's pretty worthless. C tier, it has its benefits, but I'd rather have something else if the printer is available and the scrapper is available. But if not, it doesn't hurt to have. B tier is good items that I'm not really thinking about. Like, it's nothing that I would print for. It's nothing that I'm excited to get. It's just something that helps. Like, it's a, oh, Cautious Slug. That's good. Moving on. A tier, you want to print these if you can, but it's not the end all be all. These are some of the better items in the game, but nothing like needed. These items are pretty needed. These items are universally good on every character. Really good items. You got your crit, you got your boss damage, you got your increases damage but breaks at a low health, and increased damage to enemies above 90% by like an absurd number. What actually is the number on our crowbar? Does absurd damage. When the holder attacks an enemy that has more than 90% of its health remaining, they deal 75% more damage, plus 75% per stack. That's crazy. That's really good. You always want to be taking these items. Moving on, fungus. We got our fungus, as we call it. Not great. It's really good. Really, really good. Like your top priority item on Engineer to heal those turrets, because it'll keep healing. It creates a healing field on the ground that heals. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. Let me go to the page. Create a radius of 3 meters plus 1.5 meters per stack, which heals any ally within 4.5%. Oh, 4.5% plus 2.25% per stack health every second. So pretty much you're getting constant healing if you're standing still. You don't want to be standing still on almost every survivor except for Engineer, who the turrets get the items. Really good on Engie, pretty trash on everyone else, especially when you can avoid the item with Wungus. This is a really, really good item. I personally enjoy using it a lot. Next we have I'm blanking on all of these names as soon as I get to them. This is oddly shaped opal. It gives a barrier that it increases armor by 100%, and it is one-time use. It regens every 7 seconds, I believe that's 7 seconds of not taking damage. The holder gets opal armor buff, increasing armor by 100 plus 100 per stack until they take damage again. So pretty much, you're not going to take damage next time you get hit for 7 seconds of not taking damage. It pairs well with Bear down here, where you're just not taking damage. Probably low A. I'd definitely print this. It helps a lot in certain circumstances, but it's not like I'd say it's on the lower end of printing priority. We have PSG, Personal Shield Generator, pretty similar to Bison Steak, but you're getting a lot more out of it. You're getting Shield, which regens after not taking damage or being in combat for a certain amount of time. It regens almost instantly, so you don't have to worry about healing. I prefer shields over health, but it still can take you out of what I'm looking for. One-shot protection. If you don't know, you have one-shot protection for if you're above like 90% health. So if you're constantly taking small hits of damage and still healing in the background, but your PSG is not letting you get above it, I believe it only takes you out of it if you have 2 PSGs. It can really hurt you. I wouldn't... It's really good. I'd never print it, but I like having at least one somewhere in B tier. We have white scrap. I don't think I'm going to rank the scraps. I mean, scrap is just like, it's A tier. You always want to have scrap. You can turn your bad items into scrap to print them into new items. It's always good, but you can't say scrap's S tier or even high A tier, because it's just filler until you get something better. It doesn't actually do anything for you except let you turn your bad items into good items with the right printings. Take a little sip of drink real quick. Next we have Backup Magazine. This gives you an extra charge of your M2 skill. So again, very survivor dependent. Loader, really good. Have Bandit, not as good, but it's still pretty good. Like, I don't think anyone's going to complain about having extra charges of their M2 skills. Some survivors, it's pretty not great on. I don't think it's amazing on... It's not great on Commando. It's not amazing on Huntress. It's very varied. It's a very varied item, but I'd still say B tier, top of B tier. Because for the survivors, it really helps. It's a decent amount of them that it really helps. Loader with this item, free pillar skip, insane movement, more than you would ever get with one. Really good on Loader, really good on a decent amount of survivors. But that it's not great on, I can't put it above B tier, and I definitely wouldn't really print it. Next we have ADHD antlers. That's what I call them. They put little orbs similar to Monster Tooth over here on the ground, in which it'll increase your movement speed for each one you hit. Pretty good. It gives me something to do when I'm walking around and there's no enemies, and it increases your movement speed by actually a decent amount. This used to be, before they fixed the game, probably F tier, definitely F tier. It was actively hurtful to you. Now, honestly, I'd put it above Paul's Goat Hoof. It's pretty good. And on the train of movement, we have soda, we have, what the actual name? Energy drink, I believe. These are the 3 main core movement items. They're all really good. Movement's really important in Risk of Rain. The faster you can get to your chest, the faster you can get to teleporter, the faster you can get to anything, the better, because as every second passes, the enemy's levels increase, the difficulty of the game increases, more enemies spawn. Movement is key. You want to have good movement, and these items are just the core of it. The next two items, I'm going to group them together. Sticky Bomb and Stun Grenade. Chance to put a Sticky Bomb on something every time you hit it based on your proc coefficient. I'm not going to explain proc coefficient. It's every character has one based on their... It's just a percentage chance of things happening. Sticky Bomb, Stun Grenade, falling into this B tier category of I'll pick it up if I see it, don't care, would rather have something better, I'll scrap it if I need to, but not necessarily the best. Same with Syringe, but Syringe is actually a lot better. It's just it's another one of those survivor dependent. Syringe increases your damage speed, the speed that you fire your shots, which is really good on survivors like Commando. You can turn Commando into pretty much a machine gun, as I've always said, but on survivors like any of the melee survivors, really, this only affects your M1, by the way. Not great on especially melee survivors, on anyone that, if you shoot slow, it's going to be good, but not like amazing. It's pretty good though. I'm never complaining when I get it, but it's not anything I'd ever print for. Next we have Monster Tooth. Monster Tooth drops healing orbs on killing enemy. Pretty consistent healing. If you're able to kill something, get a decent amount of healing, which if you're not able to kill something, you might as well restart your run anyway. Again, it's one of the better sustain items. I'd put it with God, I just said the name of it like 5 minutes ago. Cautious Slug. Jesus Christ. Key, Rusty Key. You pick it up. Next stage, there'll be a lockbox that has a green or red item in it. I believe it's large chest odds, so you're gonna get this from something worth the price of a small chest and get a large chest item for it on the next stage. It's fine. I'd rather just open a large chest, if I'm being honest, because sometimes it's kind of hard to find the chest with this. But it's not bad. I'm never complaining when I get it, and I'm always praying for red whenever I get to the chest for it, but it's pretty much just a cheaper large chest on the next stage. Not bad, not great. Bottom of B. War Banner, every time you level up or start the teleporter, place it down, increase attack speed, increase attack damage, increase a couple other stats. I don't remember exactly what it is. Maybe movement speed a little bit. It's pretty good. It's another one of those B tier, like, it's fine, it's good. I like to have it. Not great. Next, we're moving into the greens. The greens are a lot more varied. You have a lot more really busted ones, and you have a lot more really bad ones. And I'm definitely going to have to look at the wiki a lot more for these. I don't know them. So, Predatory Instincts grants 5% crit chance, as well as it only on the first stack. Only on the first stack you get 5% crit chance. When the holder lands a critical strike, they gain a stack of attack speed on crit for 3 seconds, increasing their attack speed by 12%. So it's just Syringe, but only on crits. It's fine. It's not great. I'm never popping off when I get it, but it's like a mix of Syringe and Glasses. But Glasses is 10%, which is a lot better, and this only affects once. It's fine. Not great. Bandolier. I believe this one is drop skill refresh. Yeah, when the holder kills an enemy, there's 18% chance, plus 10% per stack, chance that the enemy will drop an ammo pack. When collected, the ammo pack resets all skill cooldowns. Pretty good, actually. It doesn't happen too often, unless you have a clover or a couple stacks of it, but getting the skill refresh when you're in the middle of teleporter event is really helpful, and leaving them around the map whenever you're killing enemies around the map be good for later. It's another one of those B tiers. The B tier is hard for me to rank because it's all like, I'm fine with picking it up. That's about it. Nothing more, nothing less. I'll put it next to predatory. I usually care about the same amount. I'll put it below the sustains, actually. Yeah. It's about the same as War Banner. Helps out with, like, keeping the damage rates up, but nothing more than that. Forest Home drops a healing, or not a healing, money orb on the floor that is worth a small chest? Let me double check. But this item's I really enjoy having at least one stack of this item, because you can leave the stack on the ground and pick it up right before you go to the next stage, and then you're starting the next stage with some money. Yeah, gold equivalent to a small chest. Plus 4% per stack for the enemy to drop it. It doesn't increase the money, so I'd never stack it, but going into the next stage and having money at the start of it be really good, especially early. Falls off a lot late game, not useful for Mithrix at all. It's a good item, though. I like having money to start the next stage, especially early. Ukulele. Uke. Really good item. It has a chance to shoot off lightning whenever you hit something that will shoot to a nearby enemy within 20 meters. 25% chance. It is like part of the bread and butter of your proc chains. You can get chains to a bunch of different items, or a bunch of different items can proc off of this, like your sticky bomb, your stun grenade, your... I don't think gas can proc off of it, but really good. I'd always recommend printing it. It is probably top of A. Deathmark, very situational item. If you have 4 stacks, 4 different status effects on an enemy, it increases your attack damage by just a fuck ton, I think. They are marked for death for 7 seconds, causing it to take 50% more damage from all sources, which is really good on paper. If getting 4 status conditions on an enemy is easy, and keeping 4 status conditions on an enemy is easy. So you have your gasoline, that's a nice burn, that one's pretty easy. You have stun grenade, can stun them. You have chrono bauble, freezes enemies. You have a ton of different status conditions that last for a few seconds each. Stun grenade, a 1 second stun. Burn never lasts more than like 5 to 7 seconds. You're never really getting 4 at once. So while plus 50% sounds good, they're marked for death for 7 seconds. It's fine. It's going to be C tier. It's nothing. You should never be banking on this item. It is not great. I don't even think it stacks well. Plus 7 seconds per stack. So if you get your 4% and you got a lot of stacks of it, they'll be taking 50% more damage for a while, but you're sacrificing a lot of greens that you could have instead. Not amazing. I'd never recommend stacking it. I'd recommend scrapping it if you can. It's pretty worthless on Mithrix, on everything. Especially since when Mithrix jumps, he resets all of his status conditions. Your Shattering Justice, your Burn, your Chronobauble. Not great. Warhorn, when the holder activates the equipment, they get energized for 8 seconds, plus 4 seconds per stack, giving them 70% increased attack speed. Not bad. If you're going for different builds that proc your equipment constantly, or if you're just using equipments that proc a lot, like you have your what's a good easy procking equipment? I'm blanking on its name. This is like my main equipment too. Anything that procs quickly. Your wood spray, your... I don't even know if it interacts with card at all. Anything that procs quickly. Guys, I'm so sorry that I'm blanking on all of these names. This is this is so rough. Oh boy. Is there a section of this wiki that just has all of their names? Okay, so we're gonna use this instead of clicking on each fucking like making 7 centuries. We have procs really well with, like I said, gnarled wood spray. Procs well with foreign fruit. Forgive me. PML, disposable missile launcher. Pretty good item, but it's nothing like... I don't think about this item ever. It happens, and I don't notice. So it's fine. It's not great. Warhorn will put... It's another one of those B tiers. Probably next to... I usually group these two together. I think of them pretty similarly, so... Together. Next we have... Fuel Cell. Another use of your equipment. This is something that I'd probably say you should print. You should probably print Fuel Array if you have the right equipment. If you're rocking DML, if you're rocking... what else? And really any equipment, honestly. The more you can activate your equipment, the more items that go off of your equipment proc, the more everything goes. It's pretty good. You get Royal Capacitor, does good with it. Somerang, Seed of... what does Seed of Life do with it? I don't know. But either way, pretty good. I would say bottom of A, though. It's nothing that I'd say you should print a lot of. But if your equipment's good, you definitely want to be printing that. We have... Wiki's out of order here, actually. But we have Oil Guillotine next. Instantly kill elite monsters below 13%, plus 13% per stack health. So, you're killing elites faster. Pretty good for some later teleporters or looping. Worthless on Mithrix. It's not good on Mithrix. It does nothing on Mithrix. I always try to scrap this item before I get to the moon. It is not good on the moon. I'm going to put it top of C tier because it's good on looping, and it's really good on like stages 4 and 5, but it's worthless on the moon. If you're stuck with one of these on the moon, it is dead weight. Don't want to have it. And Mithrix is playing a big part of a lot of this ranking, because if you can't beat Mithrix, you can't win the game. Next, we have Will of the Wisp. This is like the game crashing item. This is the one that lags the game a fuck ton. On killing enemies, spawn a lava pillar in a 12 meter plus 2.4 meter per stack radius for 350%, 80% per stack base damage. So, you kill an enemy, and this will trigger pretty much damage on everything in the area on kill, which is really good with our equipment down here, Forgive Me Please, which activates your on kill effects. It's an entire build you can run. This item, I always go for it. It's not great on Mithrix, but its versatility on everything, constantly having it anyway. And it can still proc on Mithrix on phase 3 when you have, and phase 2 when you have all the enemies running around. You can pop a little guy or anything. If you can kill anything while he's hitting you with pizza or any of his attacks, honestly, if you can just be killing things in the background with other AoE skills, and this is always proccing, it's just extra damage. It's good. It's gonna be an A tier, but it's still not great on Mithrix. I believe this is Chance Doll. Did they change Chance Doll in the new update? I haven't actually gotten it since updated. On Shrine of Chance Success. Okay, on Shrine of Chance Success, which is the gambling shrine, 40% plus 10% per stack chance to get a higher rarity item. So you're taking your whites that you're usually going to be getting from it, and it has a higher chance of being a green or a red. It's fine. It really depends. There's a lot of stinker greens. There's a lot of not great greens, and you're usually going to be getting greens when you upgrade it. I don't know. I don't think it's great. I haven't had the experience of using it too much since the new update, so I don't know. But from my experience pre-update, and they haven't changed it too much, it does pretty much the same thing. It's still C tier. Like, I'd rather have Power Elixir over it. It's not really changing a whole lot. It's pretty worthless. Next we have Prayer Bead. There it is. Yep. This grows by gaining experience, storing 20% plus 5% per item stack bonus stats, which is health, regeneration, and damage into the item. And then whenever you scrap the item later, usually stage 5, right before you go to the moon and Mithrix, it'll give you all of the stats that it's stored. So pretty much it takes 20% No, it takes the stats you get whenever you level up, and it increases them by 20%, storing them inside the prayer beads. It holds, like, so you're still getting 100% of the stats you get when you level up, but it stores 20% plus 5% per stack in the item, that whenever you scrap it, it'll give you all of those stats then, which, honestly, pretty good. I was a defender of this item when the DLC first came out. It's a linear item. It'll always be 5%. It's good, and you're not using it on the moon, but you're using its benefits on the moon. So I'd say if I ever see it, like, I'd probably print one. If I had a green scrap and I see a printer of this on stage 1 or 2, I'd print it. Stage 3 or 4, not as much. You're not getting as much out of it. Stage 5, absolutely not. But if you get one of these stage 1 and you carry it all the way until stage 5 and you scrap it right before you go to Mithrix, you're getting a solid 300-400 health, a solid, I don't know the numbers for damage or regen, but you're getting a lot of stats. You're getting a lot of stats. You're getting 20% more stats than you would have had beforehand, which is a lot. Bottom A, again, you're not taking it into Mithrix, but it's still really good. Hopu Feather, busted item. S tier, easily. Gives you an extra jump. And the thing about Risk of Rain is that enemies don't know how to deal with you being in the air. That's why if you ever see me playing, I'll always be jumping a decent amount. Unless I'm running from point A to point B, I'm just mashing the jump button. Because if you have the choice between being in the air, where a lot of the grounded enemies can't hit you, Mithrix has no clue what to do about you being in the air. Like, if you have 2 or 3, I'd always print this, by the way. If you have 2 or 3 of these and you're just jumping around Mithrix, he's not hitting you. His shockwave with his hammer in phase 3 misses. That's a big thing you have to think about constantly. That's going to launch you, and it's going to do a fuck ton of your health bar. He can't even hit you with the hammer in the first place if you're in the air. It's just fucking good. Following that, bands are going to be the top of S tier for a while. I'm grouping them together because they're pretty much the same thing. It's a hit that deals... On hits that deal more than 400% damage, blast enemies with, this one's fire, this one's ice. The ice one slows them down by 80% for 3 seconds, dealing 250% plus 250% per stack total damage. Regens every 10 seconds. Used to be 20 seconds. They made this item better for some reason. You're getting a fuck ton of damage off this. So if you do a decently strong attack, that's your Desperado, that's your Loader Punch, that's anything that, like, your main damage with. Lunge on Acrid. I think I've seen Engineer Turrets proc it if they're doing enough damage. Anyway, it's base damage, though. It's not your total cumulative damage between your items. It's just your base damage. It does more than 400%. A lot of things do. It's going to activate. It's going to do extra damage. There's no downside to it. It can be your main source of damage. You could probably win the game with just these two and like a crowbar or like a wand. That might be all you need to be. It's really, really good. Current quest form will send a pod to the next stage and any subsequent stage afterwards that has 2 items in it. With each stack, it increases the rarity of the items. It's just an extra item on each subsequent stage. Really good to pick up on stage 1, really not good to pick up on stage like 3 or 4. Terrible to pick up on stage 5. You should always scrap it. This is another one of those items like prayer beads, like oil guillotine. You're scrapping this on stage 5 if you can. If not, it's dead weight. I guess you can get an item on the moon, but at that point, one item's not going to change a lot unless you're going to pools and grabbing a red item. But it's good. Nice to have. You get extra items, but it's pretty similar to Key. Like, you get an extra item. That's about it. Harvester Scythe. Read you the wiki. Gains 5% crit chance, similar to Predatory, but this one can stack. You can actually get max crit chance with this, as the wiki says, at least. Critical strikes heal for 8%. Not 8%, 8 health. Not a lot. You get +4 per stack. It's still not great. So, like, hypothetically, the most you're going to see in a run is probably Harvester Scythes. You're healing 16 HP on every crit. And on a normal run where you don't get crit printers, probably critting like 25% of the time, right? So, if you're healing 16 HP, not 16% HP, 16 HP on every crit, 1 in 4 chance to crit, you're healing about 4 HP every hit. Again, like I said earlier with Bison Steak, you're ending with like anywhere from like 700 to 1,000 HP. It's not doing anything. It's not great. It's gonna be another C tier healing item. I don't even notice it doing anything. I'm gonna be so for real. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. I was looking at an item on the wiki and I was looking over at the tier list and I didn't see it. I found it. Okay. Next we have, I think, not activating secondary skill. Your M2 stores up to 5 charges +1 per stack. So every time you use your secondary skill, you gain a charge. Requires 3 charges for your primary skill to fire lightning strikes. That deal 175% total damage plus 50% per stack each. Reduces secondary skill cooldown by 20%. So pretty much every time you fire your secondary skill, it's going to decrease the cooldown and it's going to make your primary skill deal actually noticeable amounts of damage. This is really good on characters that you're spamming your secondary on. So your loader, where you're swinging around the enemies, you're swinging around the bosses, and then you're actually doing damage on your M1. Pretty good. I don't know how other people think about this item. I haven't really talked to anyone about Luminous Shot and what their opinions on it is, but I've had runs where Luminous Shot is actually doing like noticeable damage to health bars, which you don't see a lot. I've been really enjoying this item, and call it recency bias because it just got updated, it just got fixed, but I think it's pretty good. Welcome to Stream Normal with your pineapple on pizza. How are we doing? Next is Infusion. Infusion, every kill you get will increase your damage dealt by 1. Just flat. It is not your damage dealt, sorry, your HP. Your HP is increased by 1 for every kill you get, up to 100 per stack. So, at the end of the game, you're probably getting about 100 HP from this thing. It's aight. It's fine. It's another one of those don't think about it items. Like to have it, but I'm not gonna cry if I don't have it, and I'm not gonna scrap it at the end. That's just losing 100 HP. It's fine. Wax Quail's a funny item. Wax Quail is the glitchy item. And it might sound broken off of me saying that, but it's good. It's really, really solid, but it's nothing amazing, right? You can get, if you have enough speed and a Wax Quail, you can pillar skip. It's increasing your movement a lot. Pretty much what it does is it makes it so that way every time you jump, you get sent forward a little, which interacts with slopes weirdly. He exactly says, jumping while sprinting boosts you forward by 10 meters, plus 10 meters per stack. So, jump into a slope, it's gonna like push you into the slope and then upwards from the slope. So you just get launched into the air. With enough movement speed in this, it's just sending you. Really, really fun item to use. It's just a lot of fun to jump around with. Like I said earlier, I'm always jumping in my runs unless I'm just running from point A to point B with no enemies. If I have this item, I'm going to be jumping anyway. I'm just going to jump around. It's going to be fun. Low A tier with a lot of these other greens. It's good. I don't know if I'd ever print it, but printing rules kind of getting thrown out the window with the green items. Let's be real. Just a fun item to have. Knockback Fin, or as it's known now, Breaching Fin. Surrounding enemies hit with this skill are launched and stunned. Enemies hit while airborne are launched again up to 2 times, plus 1 per stack. Launched enemies take increased damage by 20% from all sources per launch? Recharges after 10 seconds. What the fuck? So, pretty much, You launch an enemy, you hit them, they get launched. They're taking 20% more damage. You can launch them again if you want on another hit, and you can launch them again and again. Each stack of it you have. Pretty much, they aren't really going to be doing a whole lot in the air, and they're taking more damage, and it's kind of funny. It's going to be another A tier. Honestly, I didn't know what stacking this did, but stacking this actually sounds pretty good. You can have, like, 20 stacks. I actually want to try this on a next looping run I do. The next choose items, next endless easy. I'm gonna try stacking this a lot. I want to, like, take a beetle for a ride through the air. I want to just punch it and keep punching it and just watch it fly. I think that's... I'm interested now. Gonna go for now, Tommy. Have fun. Your listing. Thank you, Citrus. Have a great night. Next up, Sailstar. Sailstar, the next chest you open will give you an extra item. It doesn't give you an extra item per stack, but it has the chance to. So the exact wiki reads, gain an extra item on the first chest opened per stage. Each additional Sailstar increases the chance of getting more items by 5%. I think it also increases the odds of you getting a rarer item, but not by a lot. This item's insanely busted. You're walking into your stage 4. It doesn't matter what stage 4 it is, unless it's I would see asphyxiation and choking. What is this guy talking? Fighting for survival. I love this song. Anyway. You walk into stage 4, unless it's Siren's Call, are getting 2 red items. You are getting 2 red items, not for free. You still have to grind like a couple $1,000s for it, but you're getting 2 red items, which is more than you'd ever have, and the red items are easily the most busted items in the game. You're getting War Bonds. If you watched the last stream, this item used to be hot garbage. That thing, I had 2 stacks of it. It almost one-shot Mithrix's first stage on its own. Insane item. So Sailstar was the only item not changed when the DLC first came out, because the DLC was hot garbage. It ruined the game, and the devs said, "Hey, we fucked up. We're gonna change everything except for Sailstar, because that one's actually kind of cool." And we said, "Thank you, devs. That's awesome." Next, gonna be another S tier back-to-back. We have ATG Missile Launcher Mark 1. 10% chance to fire a missile that deals 300% plus 300% per stack total damage. This thing procs off of anything. This can proc off of a ukulele. This can proc off of your let's see, meat hook. This is like essential to a proc chain. You're getting, if you get meat hook, if you get ATG, you're gonna be procking everything on everything. It doesn't matter what % chance it is to get a sticky bomb. You're gonna hit something, it's gonna shoot ukulele chain off, it's gonna proc this, it's gonna proc this, and in one of those you're getting sticky bomb procced. So pretty much, if you get all these items, it takes it from a chance of proccing something to get more damage to you're just gonna proc everything always. So it's really, really good, but this is like the prime example, especially with Pocket ICBM later on, which makes it so that way it fires 3 instead of 1 per hit. Really good item. I would always print for it. I would always go for it if I see it in a multi-shop. It is one of my main priorities, unless it's paired with any of the items above it, any of these 4 green items. I'd say this is probably the 5th best green item. Really good. Speaking of really good, this is the worst item in the game. Hunter's Harpoon. Killing an enemy increases movement by 125%, fading over 1 plus 0.5 per stack seconds. So pretty much, you're getting plus 125% movement speed every time you kill an enemy for 1 second, plus 0.5 per stack. You're thinking, wow, that doesn't sound that bad. What do you mean it's the worst item in the game? You're not playing Loader. You're going to walk off the edge because of the insane amount of movement. That is over doubling your movement speed. Even like adding with this per enemy you're killing. And you're killing enemies rapid fire on stage 5, on stage 4, on even stage 3. You're killing a lot of enemies always. This thing is going to increase your movement speed a lot, but it's not when you're thinking it's going to, because you're going to kill something when you're not even thinking about it, and then you're just going to fly off the edge, and you fall to your death. You don't die, but you're left with like 2 HP, and there's 17 wisps waiting to kill you. I can't tell you the number of runs I've lost to this item. It is actively detrimental. It hurts. The movement speed you get hurts more than it helps. Because you can get more than enough movement speed from these items. Or even Red Whip. Red Whip does more than this. This is not helping. Not at all. We're getting into the stinker green items. A lot of the rest of them are pretty bad. Old War Stealth Kit. I believe this is dropping below 25% health. Makes you invisible for like 3-5 seconds. It's fine. It can get you out of sticky situations, but like, you should never ever rely on this item. If you need this item to get into situations, you need to get better at the game. And that's not like a, oh, get good. No, like actually, like if you're relying on this item, you need to practice. You are not doing good. It is bad practice, honestly, I'd say. It's not really that good. If you're falling low enough health to be proccing this constantly, it's just not worth it. If you could have a different green item, if you open a chest and you get this and then you're constantly having to proc it because you're so low, it's going to be helpful. But if you had a band, if you had a feather, missile launcher, you wouldn't be getting into those scenarios in the first place. It's just not good. Shurikens are next. Shurikens, they're really good on melee survivors, and they're still pretty decent on everyone else. What it does is it's a chance to fire, and again, another chance. You're getting more from proc chains off of this. It's not actually giving proc chains. It doesn't have a proc coefficient, but it's going to be procking off of a bunch of things. Activating... Oh no, this only works off your primary skill. I'm sorry. Activating your primary skill also throws a shuriken that deals 400% plus 100% per stack base damage. Hold up to plus 1 per stack shurikens. All reload over 10 seconds. Pretty much, let me paint you a picture. You're playing Loader, and you're doing the teleporter, and a bunch of wisps spawn. You use your M2 to take out one, but you're not really able to take out a bunch of other ones. You can aim up, punch, and you're firing a shuriken, and it's gonna kill the wisp. It's aerial cleanup on characters that struggle with it, and it's extra damage on characters that don't struggle with it. So, would I say you should print like 4 or 5 of these? No, but if you see one printer and you have a green scrap, I'd say it's worth printing. It's still pretty good. Speaking of printing, we have regenerative scrap. It's a green scrap, but it regens on every single stage. It's not a one-time use. It'll come back the next stage. So if you see on my last looping run, I picked up a ton of these and went to the shop, and every time I go to the shop, I can get a couple red items. If you get 5 of these, it's a free red item every single time you go to the 10, it's 2, 15, it's just free items. Free items up your ass. But it stacks better than the other free item ones. Like, Sailstar, I'd say, is probably the only free item that is better. But your shipping request form, your... What are the other ones? Chance Doll, I guess, is kind of a free item. Your key, you're getting like 1 item. This one's 1 item per stage, but this one, you can pick and choose what you want. I'm gonna put it up here. It's really good on looping and choosing your own items. Other than that, it's nice to have. Green scrap's gonna go right below it. I'm gonna put all the scrap right here. Leeching Seed, we're getting to another really terrible item. It's not actively detrimental, but what it does, dealing damage heals you for 1 health. Plus 1 per stack. 1 health. 1 singular health. You're getting, if you're quote-unquote lucky, you're getting 3 of these per run. That's healing 3 every time you deal damage, which is a lot better than on kill. It's every time you deal damage. That's still pretty good. But HP's not a lot. You can rapid fire shoot something with commando over and over and over again, and like you're killing a beetle guard with this thing, you'll probably heal like, if you have 1 stack of it and you're shooting a beetle guard to death with commando, you're probably healing 20 HP. Not a lot. Even with 3 stacks, you're still not healing a lot. It's widely regarded as one of the worst items in the game. There's a lot of really bad healing items. Chrono Bauble, it's another one of the status items. It grants... It slows enemies on hit for minus 60% movement seconds. This is really good on pretty much Mithrix exclusively. It's helpful for keeping like wisps, for keeping shield guards, any of the fast-moving regular enemies away from you. Other than that, it's pretty much only used on Mithrix, because minus 60% movement speed isn't anyone except if they're moving stupid fast like Mithrix. And this is good for, I believe, Eclipse 6 makes it so enemies move like 60% faster or something like that. That's pretty helpful. But other than that, it's fine. I wouldn't really ever print it though. High B tier. Rose Buckler. Rose Buckler increases armor by 30% while sprinting. It's fine. It's another whatever item. I don't ever think about it. It's going probably here. Red Whip. Leaving combat, just your movement speed by 30% plus 30% per stack. If you stack this a lot, it actually, you can fly. You can go, not actually fly, but you can move stupid fast. You can be sending it. But it's not as consistent as these other movement items. It's still going in B. Squid Poilp, every time it's similar to not Pocket ICBM. It's similar to Fireworks. Every time you interact with something, your teleporter, your chest, your whatever, it'll spawn this little squid turret that just shoots at things, and its health is constantly depleting until it runs out and dies. It's fine. It's again helpful for melee survivors to deal with a lot of the flying enemies, and teleporter starts, or when you open a chest, anything. It lasts for 30 seconds, half of that on Eclipse, because you start with half health. Shoots within 20 meters, it does 80% total damage. It's not a lot, but it does stop wisps, because wisps will stop shooting at you and aiming at you if you hit it once. Even if you don't kill it, it'll just stop sometimes. It's pretty consistent. But it's fine. I'd put it in C. I'm never really looking for it, and it's kind of disappointing. You open a large chest and you get Squid Poilp when you could have gotten any of these red items, 20% chance for a red item, or any of these green items up here. There's a lot of pretty good green items. When I get Squid Poilp, when I get Old War Stealth Kit, when I save up so much money for so long on stage 1 and 2 for a large chest, and that's what I get, it's pretty disappointing. Let me drink some water real quick. I've been yapping for almost an hour straight now, and we're not even halfway done, and I still have... Thank you, Gilgo, for banning a word that I hadn't even thought about using yet. I don't know how I'm ever going to explain the next item now that you've banned the use of that word. Alright. Next item we have is... How are we doing, Gilgo, by the way? Ignite effects deals plus 300% more damage over time. So, this almost exclusively works with like 3 or 4 items. It works with Kajara Band. Can't describe anything accurately now. Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. So it works with Kajara Band, it works with Gasoline, and that's pretty much it. It makes it so your fire damage is a lot stronger, but this item takes it so that way this item falls off. This item usually falls off stage 2 or 3 unless you have a couple stacks of it. With this, it's pretty much lasting throughout the entire game. This will be useful for the entire game. But other than that, it's pretty worthless. I'm well, stopping in briefly while I'm getting ready for the day. Nice, nice. While I have you, Gilgo, we still need to talk about what we're doing with our shiny hunting raids, because we have not talked about that in a couple. But I'll save that for after. Talk about it later. I just want to put it in your mind that it's something we need to talk about, because it's kind of in limbo right now, and I don't know if it's gonna... But we'll figure it out when it gets there. This item, pretty high B tier. It has very little effect, but the effect it does is pretty good. Lepton Daisy, it's garbage. It's been in the back of my mind. That's good. I'm glad you're thinking about it too. Lepton Daisy it heals 50% of everyone's max HP. It works well in multiplayer. Everyone's max HP occurs 1 time per teleporter event, and it's in consistent intervals. So with 1 stack, it'll be at 50% charge. 2 stacks, it'll be 33 and 66. 4 stacks, 25, 50, 75, all of the above. Hi, Star. Welcome in. It's really mid because you don't know when you're gonna need it. It can proc when you don't need it. It can proc when you do need it. And even if it does proc when you do need it, it's a very small chance. There's a very small chance that I'm gonna be needing all of that HP, all of the healing, at 50% exact teleporter. It doesn't proc when you need it. It procs at 50% teleport. It's not great. Oh, next is another new item that I'm not super familiar with. Falling below 25% give you 75% of your maximum health as temporary barrier. Gain a dimensional aura for 8 seconds that bleeds and teleports away enemies. Enemies killed by that aura extend the duration by 1 second. Recharge every 45 seconds. Unstable transmitter. A lot better than it used to be. It used to teleport you away, and the teleporting would make you take damage and put you in a group of enemies usually, and it would get you killed. Now, it bleeds enemies, teleports them away, and for every enemy you kill from the bleeding, it increases the time that the field's up. It's pretty good. There's not a lot of, like, AoE field ones that aren't, like, it's this, and it's the ice one. That's about it. I can't really think of anything else. Thank you, Cheese Wizard. Welcome, Cheese Wizard. It's been a while for Hydration Station. I will be drinking water now, and I will stop yapping. But I will place this in a tier while I'm drinking water. Alrighty. Water has been drunk. We may continue stream. It has been a while. I'm glad to hear from you, though. How have you been recently? Our next item is Razor Wire. Getting hit causes you to explode into a burst of razors, dealing 160% damage. Hits up to 5 targets in a 25-meter radius, plus 2 targets per stack, plus 10 meters per stack. So, there's a really good build you can do with this, where you take this equipment, Hellfire Tincture, does an AoE aura around you where everything, including yourself, takes a lot of damage. It just shreds everything. You've been good? That's really good. I've been pretty good. Pretty good. I've been doing this. That's what I've been doing. But Razor Wire, it's pretty good. You're getting more damage in there for taking damage. It's good when you're trying to run away from things and, like, live a bit, and things will still take damage even if you're not firing on them. It's solid B tier. I don't really think about it a lot, but it's fine. Noxious Thorn is what this used to be called. What is this called now? Oh no, now it's Noxious Thorn. I don't know what it used to be called. Gain 10% chance to bleed an enemy. On killing enemy, transfer 33% of debuff stack to one enemy. It's pretty good. It keeps your debuffs going. It can help with Deathmark a lot, actually, because you're passing around different statuses to different things. Honestly, pretty underrated. It's gonna be another high B tier. Gathering a lot of green over here. It's nice to have, but it's nothing, like, super tremendous. Didn't have a name change. It was always called Noxious. Okay, well, I was wrong. I'm sorry. They changed. I don't know a lot of what they've changed since then, because I kind of stopped playing Risk of Rain for a while until New Year hit. I'm still familiarizing myself with a lot of the newer stuff. They changed some of the names of items, and they kept some of them the same. Not really sure why. Berserker Pauldron. Killing 4 enemies within 1 second sends you into a frenzy for 6 seconds, increases movement speed by 50%, attack speed by 100%. It's another one of those. It's good, not great, don't really think about it. It's pretty similar to Predatory Instincts now that I think about it. I usually think of these 3 items pretty similarly. I usually have the same reaction when I grab these items. I'm like, oh, cool, okay. Moving on, anyway. That's pretty much my thoughts on it. Moving into red items. Red items are very, very varied. They can be really good. They can be the best item in the game. Or they can be utterly worthless and pretty much garbage. So, getting into it, we have Alien Head, reduce skill cooldown by 25% plus 25% per stack. I think that's all of your skills. That's pretty good. When you have characters like Captain, who has, like, long cooldowns, you have characters like Loader, where you can start just utterly spamming your skills. It's really good. Alien Head works very well with specific builds, yes. Would I put it in A tier? I don't know, because there's a lot of reds that are just better than it. Like, if I'm seeing this next to most other red items in pool on the moon, I'm not really picking this. It'll be high B. I think it is high B. Um, would put it above this though, because it gives you an extra skill, but this does everything. It gives you more of everything. Shattering Justice. Shattering Justice used to, before any of the DLC, used to be like a top 10 item. It reduces armor on hit, I believe. After hitting an enemy 5 times, reduce their armor by 60 for 8 plus 8 per stack seconds. It used to be different. It used to just reduce their armor forever. Now, it's still good. It's still really, really good. Reducing armor is just more damage. It reduces their armor by how much? By 60. You're dealing a lot more damage with that. But it's not, there's a red item that directly outscales it, and if this was a different tier item, or if the other one was a different tier item, it would be fine. But for a red item, and red items have to scale differently than the whites and the greens, because you're getting 1 to 2 per run, versus like 20 to 25 of each. So, it's like, this can be your run chain. You're picking up a red item, and you're getting Shattering Justice. It's good. It's gonna be an A tier. But since it's directly outscaled by something else, I can't put it too high in A tier. Next we have Aegis. Aegis is not good, especially for a red item. Healing past full grants you a temporary barrier for 50% plus 50% per stack of the amount you healed. It's not great. You're almost never seeing this unless you run in a very, very specific build. This is going to be probably the only other item in F tier off the top of my head, because it's just not good. A couple things on it. You're never getting past the cap. You'd rather, pretty much every other red item, you have an item called Transcendence that we'll get to later, that gives you, it just turns your whole health into shield, which gives this item 0 worth. It is pretty much worthless. And it is the most disappointing item to pick up. I think of every item that I ever pick up, it's these two that I get genuinely upset when I pick them up, because I would have rathered anything else. I hope that gets the point across that this is terrible. Brilliant Behemoth is the next one. All of your attacks explode in a 4-meter radius for a bonus of 60% total damage to nearby enemies. It's more damage, it's fun, it's cool. Yeah, I agree. Harpoon's at least green, but Harpoon is detrimental to you. It's a different kind of detrimental, where this can actively kill you. This is just, like, detrimental in the way of you could have had anything else. Brilliant Behemoth, it's nice, it's cool. It's one of the items that, like, I genuinely describe as cool. Going from hitting someone or shooting someone to hitting and shooting someone and then they fucking explode is, like, fun. Whether or not it's helpful, it's fun, it does, like, it genuinely boosts your damage output by a lot, but just having the idea of everything you do exploding is really cool as well. So it gets a little bit of a bonus from that. But yes, I agree with that star. Worst opportunity cost is true. The next one I am going to have to look at the It's Growth Nectar. It grants 7% plus 7% per stack to all stats for each buff, up to a maximum of 4. So it's kind of the opposite of Death Mark, where you're dealing more damage for having 4 debuffs on something. Growth Nectar, 7% to all stats. That's your HP, your healing rate, your damage, your armor, your everything. Plus 7% to it per stack, up to a... It just says up to a maximum of 4. I don't know exactly what that means, but you're just getting more stats for each buff. So buffs include, for some reason, the banned cooldowns count as a buff. I'm not exactly sure why. You have shield as a buff, you have armor as a buff, what else? A couple more things we haven't gotten to yet. Some blue items, some void items count as buffs. I haven't used it a lot. I don't think I've actually used it at all in the new update. No, ban cooldowns are now buffs. But it's really depending on the build. This can actually just do nothing if you don't have the right items for it. But it can also do a lot, yeah. So it's gonna be B tier. There's a lot of better things you can grab. It's definitely helpful though. Yeah, I know. Sentient Meat Hook, I've talked about this a lot while talking about other items. It is, like, getting proc chains, Missile, and Uke are, like, a core of it, right? This completes the core. This is the missing puzzle piece. This is an insanely busted item. It'll extend your proc chains to an ungodly amounts. It'll make it so that way everything around you is constantly always taking damage. It's pretty much the same thing as Uke, but it's more things in a larger range for more damage, I'm pretty sure. Sentient Meat. 20% chance on hit to fire homing hooks to up to 10 plus 5 per stack enemies for 100% total damage. Hyperbolic linear is the key word there. Anything on the wiki that says hyperbolic linear pretty much means that it'll proc other things. Insane item. Easily one of the best in the game. Defensive microbots is the next one, which item because it start with the item if you're playing captain, and you can get the item and scrap the item to get rid of it. I don't know why you would. It shoots down one projectile within 20 meters every 0.5 seconds. Recharge rate scales with attack speed. The more attack speed you have, the faster it's going to recharge, the more stacks of it you have, which you shouldn't really ever get stacks of it unless you're doing command. I don't really know how else you'd get stacks of it. It shoots down an extra projectile for every stack of it. Pretty much, it's just going to be blocking, it's going to orbit around you in a 20-meter radius, and it's just going to block projectiles constantly. Really, really, really helpful. Insane item. It's locked onto one character unless you're doing something else, so it's going to be the bottom of S tier for that because it's locked onto one character, but it's still insanely good. Captain would be bad because he has the lowest movement speed, no movement skills, really short or really long cooldowns about it. And his M1's not even that good. 57 Leaf Clover is arguably the best item in the game. All random effects are rerolled +1 time for favorable outcome. +1 per stack. So pretty much, you get might cut out sweep. No, I don't know what you missed, but we're gonna keep rolling. Yeah, it's just roll with advantage from D&D. Pretty much what happens is you get your 20% chance to proc Sentient Meat Hook. If it doesn't proc the first time, it's gonna roll the 20% again and see if it hits that time. It works very well with anything that has a chance to do something. Anything that has a chance to do it, you roll it and it'll do good. That is this item, that is this item, that is this item. Couple others. Sticky Bomb, Stun Grenade. You have your Bandolier, you have your Monster Tooth, you have your... I think these are Chance. Forest Home. Have all of these, all of the above. Like, a solid third of the items are a chance to do something, and this doubles your chances. It's insane. It's a very, very popular rumor that it increases your odds of getting red items, and I don't think it's true. I think it's just that when you usually get a red item pretty later in the game, and as you keep going, you'll get more items and more like higher graded chests. So you're just seeing more red items. It is completely what's the word for Mandela effect. It's entirely a Mandela effect. Laser Scope is the next red item. It's a coincidence too, yes. This pretty much gives you, your crit damage goes from dealing 100% extra damage to 200% extra damage. In a run, it's not great. It's really not great. You have maybe 1 or 2 glasses, a Predatory, and a Harvester Scythe for like I said earlier when I was talking about Harvester Scythe, you have pretty much a 25% crit rate. So it's good on Endless Easy. It's really good on looping. If you're choosing your items, if you're looping, anything like that. If you're not doing Monsoon or Bandit Backstab, yeah, that's true. It's really good on Bandit because Bandit has 100% crit rate in the back. It's really good on Railgunner because Railgunner just has 100% crit rate. But other than that, it's pretty mid. I'd rather see almost any other red item in the game because it's just not doing as much as everything else. For a red item, it's still good though. I don't want to put it below A. It's still really good. You're getting double crit damage. But other than that, I can't recommend taking it over anything else. Ceremonial Dagger is another item that is a chance to proc, I believe. Description on the wiki is killing an enemy fires out 3 homing daggers that deal 150% plus 150% per stack base damage. So pretty much, you kill something, you get 3 daggers that'll then go home onto someone else and kill them. You can, if you're doing enough damage and you're killing things fast enough, you can end the stage with hundreds, maybe even thousands of daggers just floating around you, waiting for enemies to spawn. It's pretty entertaining. It'll always be helpful. It's not great on Mithrix. You're not really killing a lot on the moon or in Mithrix, but it's still really good. I'll put it with Behemoth. They're both pretty, like... They definitely really help, but it's not in that top echelon of items like spare drone parts, which is the best item in the game in my personal opinion. Spare drone parts is actively insane. It is, you could win the game with just this item. I think I've seen a streamer, I don't remember who it was, I've seen a Risk of Rain streamer beat the game with just this item, and they did it so easily. You get a drone called Colonel Drone Man, who is just insane, shoots enemies super fast for a fuck ton of damage. Drones get plus 50% attack speed and cooldown reduction, plus 50% per stack of the item. Drones gain 10% chance to fire a missile on hit, dealing 300% total damage. Drones get an automatic chain gun that deals 6 times 100% damage, bouncing to 2 enemies on every single drone you have. There is equal drones to chests on most stages. If you get this item and you get like 5 drones going up to Mithrix on top of having Colonel Drone Man, it is just gonna die. It's just gonna die. You don't need anything else. Mithrix isn't even going to be aiming for you, on top of the fact that you're going to be doing damage to it yourself. He will always aim for Colonel Drone Man, who infinitely respawns, similar to this item and Beetle Guard and everything. It just shreds Mithrix. It will always keep attention. You pretty much don't have to worry about anything. It is insane. And before Mithrix steals Colonel Drone Man, Mithrix does take Colonel Drone Man on phase 4. But if you do enough damage fast enough to him, which you usually should be able to if you're playing right, it doesn't matter. You'll take it back before it can do anything, and then the drone mans will just shoot each other until... Because Mithrix doesn't have, like, the... Phase 4 Mithrix, the thing about him stealing your items and your, like, support enemies is that it doesn't matter, because Mithrix phase 4 base attack is so low that like all of the stuff it takes from you isn't really going to do that much damage. Also, yeah, your own drone man doesn't despawn when he takes it. But moving on, we have Dio's best friend. Dio's best friend revives you when you die, and that sounds really good. You get another chance at life. You get, or You have room for error now, which sounds great. And it was a lot better back 2019, 2020, before any of the DLCs came out. Now, you have 1 revive, you have 2 revive. This is the voided version of that, and it's actively better. We'll get into what it does later, but it revives you and then some. You have this equipment, which isn't a red item. It's not red item rarity. I see it almost every single run. It revives you. It does take your equipment slot, but it still revives you and then gives you another equipment that you can use afterwards. Not a red item, by the way, when you could be getting something like spare drone parts. A lot of people will always argue that this item is still good, it still revives you. I disagree. I think this item is really not good. It falls back on the same argument of if you have an item that could be doing more damage, you wouldn't have died in the first place, which is why a lot of the sustain items are really low. This is even amplified by the fact that it's a red item. You're getting 1 to 2 per run, which means that if you get this, there's a chance you won't get any other red items, which can carry your run like spare drone parts, like 57 leaf clover, like head stompers, which we're about to get to. You're not getting any other red items. You're not getting, like, that's the damage you need. That is like the red items can turn your run from being bad to really good, and you get this, and it's just like, if you're behind, you can't catch up with this. You will die, and then you will respawn, and you will almost immediately die again. It's not great. I'm gonna, call me crazy, I'm putting it in D tier. It's not good. It's really not. It used to be considered, like, back when it first came out, it was pretty damn good. People thought it was good. It's really good for casuals, but if you're doing Eclipse, it's not really good at all. I don't want to see it on a... Head Stompers, as I alluded to a minute ago, is insanely... Not only does it, and it is called H3AD-5T version 2. Head Stompers is what we call it. Increases jump height, which, if you remember the Hopu Feather rant, is insanely good. Creates a 5 meter to 100 meter radius kinetic explosion on hitting the ground, dealing 1,000 to 10,000 base damage that scales up with fall distance, regenerates in 10 seconds. And in the regen does take your big jump, your increased jump height away. But in more simplified terms, jump really high, and the higher you are, if you hold down, it's the maze from Minecraft. It's a really good way to explain it. If you hold down the interact button, slam down to the ground, the higher you are, the more damage it does. These 3 items are inarguably the best items in the game. You can switch them around whichever way you like. This is my personal order. I usually see more use out of spare drum parts than either of these, and same with 7 leaf over head stompers. It doesn't make head stompers a bad item, but it's like, it gets barely outscaled. What's not on screen? You're not on screen. Let me actually fix that on OBS. I need to fix. Pull it down a little bit so it's a bit higher. There we go. Thank you, Star. But yeah, insane item. Can carry a run. Will 10,000 damage. I can't get over that number. It's insane. Happiest Mask is the next item. Killing enemies has a 7% chance to spawn a ghost of the killed enemy with 1,500% damage. Lasts for 30 seconds, plus 30 seconds per stack. Pretty much, you're gonna get a ghost of your enemy that's gonna help you fight. It's fine. It's fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. It doesn't scale. It doesn't really help nearly as much as anything else. It's down here with Alien Head because it's definitely a lot of fun. It definitely helps, but it's pretty much worthless on the moon. It's not going to help you ever in the Mithrix fight. It's hardly going to help you on stages 1 through 3. You're going to get like 1 enemy that's going to die almost instantly. It's not great. Now, here's the fun one. Here's War Bonds. I need to read the description of this because we had not an event. We had something happen last stream with Warbond. This item used to be pretty much the worst item in the game. This item, before they released it with the DLC, and what it did was it would give you 3 small chests worth of gold every time you go to the next stage, which is really not good because you're usually not getting a red item until stage 4, which means you're only getting it on the moon and on stage 5, which is not great. And even then, you're getting enough money fast enough that you just don't need it. It's really not good. So they said, hey, let's fix this. Let's change entirely what it does. During boss event, 5 missiles bombard the area, dealing 2.5% plus 2.5% per stack of boss's maximum health in damage. Before the boss event, gain additional missiles up to a maximum of 20 plus 5 per stack for 25 gold gained. So pretty much on the moon, it's shooting 25 missiles that do 2.5% of its health. 2.5 times 25. Let me do quick math. That is about like 66% of the enemy's health bar. Not including the fact that it also procs things. So in my run the other day, I wish I had the clip. Actually, I do have a clip. Pull it up real quick. Let's get the clip running. Video producer. Yeah. I saved it to a separate video. This is actually insane. Circling back to the whole Eclipse 3 doesn't affect I didn't know it was going to happen. I printed 2 of them as a joke. I thought this was going to end the run. I pretty much put all of my greens into this, maybe not impossible, thinking that it was going to be like okay. I thought it was an okay change.
Oh my god.
This is a regular Eclipse 3 run.
They're still firing!
They're still firing! He missed, a couple of the missiles missed. If all of the missiles hit, he would have just died. He would have been one shot. Phase 1 would have just been one shot. I don't know what the devs were smoking when they changed this item. They said, hey, it's the worst item in the game. Let's make it objectively S tier. Where did we go? Where did we go here? What change? I mean, I appreciate the change. It was insanely funny. What happened, devs? Thank you for making a really, really good item, but proc coefficient 1, which means that it's procking this usually, and 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 these 2 items are going to be joining them up here as some of the best in the game. Insane item. But enough about that. Wake of Vultures, you get the power of an elite that lasts for 8 seconds, plus 5 seconds per stack. It's really mid. I'd put it down here with Dio's. I'd say it's worse than Dio's. You're getting less effect out of it. It's worthless on Mithrix. The elite effects aren't really that great unless you're getting, like, the perfect one, which you're not gonna get. The blue one, what the fuck's is really mid. It actively hurts you because it turns 50% of your health bar into shield, and then when it wears off, it just doesn't change any of the 50%. Like, you're still missing 50% of your health after that. It actively hurts you. It's not great. What's this item called? This is Frost Relic. Killing an enemy surrounds you with an ice storm that deals 1200% damage per second and slows enemies by 80% for 1.5 seconds. The storm grows with every kill, increasing its radius by 2 meters, stacks up to 8 meters. This item is really, really middling. It is the most okay right item ever. It pretty much, if you kill enough enemies fast enough, you have an AoE bubble around you that everything dies. But it's not great on Mithrix, and it really doesn't help you until like stage 4 or 5. It's really good on looping because it's just like it pretty much adds to the brain rot of it. You pretty much don't have to think. You have to think less whenever you have this item. Whenever I have this item, wisps don't matter anymore. You don't have to think about wisps ever. Beetles don't matter more than they already don't. Fuck's the name? I should do an enemy tier. But it pretty much all of the smaller enemies, they don't matter. You can focus on the things that matter more. Whereas if you don't have it, you really thinking about, oh, I just heard a wisp spawn. I need to kill it before it kills me. If it's an elite, then I'm going to be taking a lot of damage here. I flick my mouse around, see what it... Uh-oh, it's a fire elite. Gotta focus on that, because that's going to drain my health bar while I'm focusing on this beetle guard over here. Oh, hey. Cool, it's gone. Even if it's elite, it's probably gone before you even notice it. I'd still put it in A tier. I really like using this item. This is one that I'll actively pick a lot. I think it's pretty underrated, but it's nothing insane. Ben's Raincoat, really not good. Really not good. It prevents 1+1 per stack debuff, and instead grants temporary barrier for 10% of max HP that recharges every 5 seconds. It's not great. If you're getting hit with enough debuffs to where it matters, then it's not blocking enough debuffs, and you're not really getting hit with debuffs anyway, so it's just like, it's gonna join them down here in the who the fuck cares tier. Like, it's not really that important. Rejuve Rack, I got like 3 times in a fucking row this week. It's good. It definitely keeps you at max HP. I've noticed sometimes on stage 5 where I am getting to like 33% of my health-ish, and I run away for a second, and then my health bar is at full. It does a lot more than I remember it doing. The exact description of it, Rejuve Rack, heal 100% plus 100% per stack. So it just amplifies everything more. It's good, not great. Again, sustain isn't like the most important in the game. It's probably the least important thing you need to keep track of. I'd rather have an item that makes it so I don't take the damage than have an item that keeps me at not dying. But it's still good. Transcendence does kind of counter it. Transcendence turns your health into shield. Any healing items are worthless. You can scrap them after that. But at the same time, like if you're playing the game in an honorable way, usually like the way that I'm doing this year for all of my Eclipse climbs, I'm not gonna go to the shop at all. I'm just gonna, if I get it from a lunar pod, I'll take it, but if not, I'm not gonna use it unless I'm looping or doing something weird or different or extra. I'll go to the shop for fun, because the shop is a lot of fun. You get a lot of, that's where you get most of your lunar items. That's where you can get a lot of red items. It's really busted, but for Eclipse climbing, it makes the game less fun because then it's really easy. Go to the shop stage 1, you grab 5 transcendences, and then your health bar is over 1,000 on stage 1, and it's all shield, which means you just need to run for a second, and then your health bar is at max. It's really, really good, but it's less fun. I'll rank it now since we've already talked about it. It is really good, but it's probably the lamest item in the game. We'll get to the rest of the blues. Brain Stalks is next, and it's really forgettable because I don't even know. Upon killing an elite monster, enter a frenzy for 4 seconds, where you have skills that have 0.5 second cooldown. Sounds really good. Worthless on Mithrix, and it's honestly like I forget I have it a lot of time. A lot of time that I have it, I'll kill an elite and not even remember that I can just spam my moves. So it just kind of sits there. It's objectively good. If this was a green item, it would be like top 5. I'm just not even thinking about it. It doesn't really exist. I'd rather have something else, and it's worthless on Mithrix. It's gonna be in this grouping of B tier of it's good, but I'd rather something else. And I think the next one's gonna be there too. We have, I can put the music back on. We have Resonance Disc. This might be the longest description on the wiki. Let me drink some water beforehand. Alrighty. Resonance Disc. Killing 4 enemies in 7 seconds charges the Resonance Disc. Disc launches itself towards a target for 300% base damage, plus 300 per stack, piercing all enemies. It doesn't kill, and then explodes for 1,000% base damage, plus 1,000 per stack. Returns to the user, striking all enemies along the way for 300% base damage, plus 300% per stack. So, it's just more damage. I don't see it activate a lot. 300% base damage is not a lot. Explodes for 1,000. I don't know, man. Like, it's doing 300% there and back, and it explodes for 1,000 at a random spot. I don't know exactly where it explodes. It's not great. It's gonna be another B tier item. I never see it really do a whole lot. I'm never really like, oh, I'm glad I got Resonance Disc. It's really helping my damage out. Next we have Runic Lens, another DLC item. I don't know if I've ever used it actually, so my ranking might not be fair on it, and it might change as time goes on, but 3% chance to hit to call a Meteor Strike, dealing 2,000 base damage for every 100% attack damage dealt. Increase the activation chance by 3% and damage by 100. For every 100% damage dealt, the activation chance is higher and the damage is higher. This sounds really good. I've never used it in my life, but it sounds really good. I'm gonna softly put it right here, it sounds like it's gonna be doing a lot of extra damage and really helping, but at the same time, I don't know. So I'm gonna safely put it in a middle of A tier. Pocket ICBM, I'm so biased towards this item because I run missile build on every single looping run just for fun. I love missile build, as I've called it. Pretty much, Pocket ICBM, all missile items and equipment fire an additional 2 missiles, increase missile damage by 0% plus 50% per stack. So missiles are going to do 50% more on every single stack. This item is really good. If you're running DML, Disposable Missile Launcher, this fires like 30 missiles. So now it's going to fire 90 missiles. And on ATG, which is just going to fire 3 instead of 1, increase proc chains. It's really helpful. It increases the damage by a lot. It helps towards crashing the game, which is really funny. It's gonna be an S tier item. I really personally enjoy this item a lot. Would I say it's more useful than the main damage items? No. I think, I'm not banking on this in a usual run. It's not going to do a lot, but it is probably my favorite casual item, except for Tesla Coil. But we'll get to Tesla Coil when we get to Tesla Coil. Next, we have Nukahan's opinion. My opinion, this item sucks. Store 100% plus 100 per stack of healing as soul energy. After your soul energy reaches 10% of your maximum health, fire a skull that deals 250% of your soul energy as damage. That means pretty much fucking nothing. The more you heal, it's gonna shoot a skull that deals damage. It doesn't fucking do shit. It's pretty worthless. It's joining the D tier, who the fuck cares tier. It's actively hurting your run if you pick this up because any other item would be better. Symbiotic Scorpion is just better Shattering Justice. It's the reason Shattering Justice isn't an S tier. Symbiotic Scorpion, 100% chance on hit to reduce armor by 2 permanently. It doesn't refresh when Mithrix jumps. It's just permanent armor reduction. It's really good. There's no world where you don't want this. If you get this in a run, you're probably gonna win unless you throw. It's just gonna make it so your damage just does more with every consecutive hit you do. It's really good. Next we have Interstellar Desk Plant. This is my favorite healing. Is it the best one? I don't know. But what it does is on kill, plant a healing fruit seed that grows into a plant after 5 seconds. The plant heals for 5% of your maximum health every 0.5 seconds to all allies within 10 meters, plus 5 meters per stack, lasts for 10 seconds. So, it's not great on Mithrix. And the biggest downsides, it's not great on Mithrix, and you have to really be staying in the same area for it to affect. But if you're killing, 20 to 30 enemies within, a couple seconds, then the ground's just going to be covered in the healing orbs, or these healing, rings that are pretty similar to, Bungus, which means it's also really good on NG, because you're getting a lot more healing fields for your turrets. It's pretty good. It's probably going to be down here with Laser Scope, whereas it's not going to be the most helpful in ordinary runs, but you're not going to complain when you have it, because it's just, objectively good. But it's probably the strongest healing in the game. I'll just say that. That or Rejuve-Rack, but I usually see more use out of this, and I'm usually more excited to see it because it's more fun. Oh, fuck yeah. Next we have... This is Bottled Chaos. Trigger a random equipment, 1 per stack, each time you trigger your equipment. So if I activate Disposable Missile Launcher, it has a chance to activate the Saw. So pretty much, it's just going to fire another equipment. It's not amazing. It's really funny if you use this item, which decreases the cooldown. Other than that, it's pretty mid. It's not, if I see this in a run, it's kind of a waste of a red, but it does more than these, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I'll put it in C tier. Sonorous Whispers, I think, is the next one. This item was busted before they changed it. When a large monster is killed, it will always drop an item. That's a boss monster. If you kill a boss, any teleporter event boss or Mithrix, I don't think it works on the naturally spawning bosses, it'll drop an item, which is really good. The more items you have, the more damage you're dealing with, the more speed you have, the more healing you have. It helps build your strength overall. It's entirely random. I think it's usually white or green. It's usual item drops, I think. All elites have a 4% chance of dropping an item, plus 1% per stack. So, you're getting a lot of extra items. It's gonna be S tier, objectively. More items equals better. You're getting, let's see. Usually you're getting a white item out of props, so you're getting more crowbars, more watches, more, what are these called? You're getting more items that deal more damage, give you more opportunities to improve. It's really good. Scrap. I don't even want to rank this scrap because you're never using red. I mean, no, it just doesn't exist. There's never an opportunity where you're gonna say, I'm gonna scrap this red, even if you have Aegis, right? I would never scrap it because it's still. Maybe Aegis exactly I would scrap, but I would never scrap a Dios, I would never scrap Wave of Vultures, I would never scrap a red unless it's Aegis, in anticipation of a red printer showing up, because in all of my runs, I've probably seen a red printer, without looping, I've probably seen a red printer 3 times. In all of my runs, I have 200, 300 hours in this game, something like that. It's not common, you're never using it. I'm gonna put it in, like, D. Like, you're never using this ever, but it's still good. Unstable Tesla Coil is pretty much the same thing as Frost Relic. It gives you an AoE range around you. Exact description. If I can find it. Fire out lightning that hits 3 plus 2 per stack enemies for 200% base damage every 0.5 seconds. The Tesla Coil switches off every 10 seconds. It's more effective than Frost Relic. It's gonna kill wisps instantly no matter what. It's really good on, again, characters that don't really have fast firing options that can just shred everything you don't want to have to think about. It's gonna be S because it's my personal favorite item, but it's not the best. It's really damn good. Getting close to the end. Maybe not. But I can rapid fire a lot of these later ones. Boomerang. Electric Boomerang, 50% chance on hit to fire an electric boomerang that travels a short distance before returning, dealing 30% plus 30% per stack damage and stunning all enemies. Stun is just really good in Risk of Rain, but you're not really getting consistent stun on anything. It's like Stun Grenade and Boomerang might be like the only ones, but it's not amazing for a red item. Especially since it's percent chance, but I'd still say it's like, it's probably here. You're not getting a lot out of it, but it's still fun to have. I've gotten it a lot recently too, and that's definitely not helped. But next we have Soulbound Catalyst. Kills reduce equipment cooldown. This is a really good item. You can get it. This is really good on any equipment build, any missile build, any forgive me please build, anything. If you're getting kills fast enough, you don't have an equipment cooldown. Your equipment will just fire constantly. And it's really good, because your equipments should be killing unless they're focused on like support or sustain, anything. It's pretty good. It works in builds a lot, since you're killing things a lot anyway. I'm gonna put it probably above here, since I still don't know, like I still haven't had in-game experience with this, but it's still really good. Hard Light Afterburner gives 2 extra uses of your shift or your utility skill. That is Loader's Punch, that is that is Bandit's Dash, that is Commando's Roll. It's usually a movement skill on most characters. Get out of stickier situations, you do a lot with it. It is insane on Loader, it is insane on Railgunner, it is insane on a lot of characters. Your shift is usually a high priority move that can be a bulk of your damage. It is the same thing as this, but just a different move, one that's used a lot more. I want to put it bottom of A. I personally enjoy having it, especially since I play a lot of loader. But it's just a lot of fun. It's good. And that's going to be all of the reds. We're over halfway done. And the equipments are, the boss items are going to be fast. Beetle Guard is not great. It summons a Beetle Guard, which is the same thing as the... Oh, it's called Queenland. It summons a Beetle Guard, which are like the bigger beetles that like slam the ground, shoot like the earthquake things. Every 30 seconds, with 300% bonus damage, 100% health. Even if it dies, it'll come back. It sounds good. It's not great. It's just an extra body that does damage. I've mistaken it for an actual Beetle Guard because of how similar it looks. Near the bottom of B. I don't really care too much about it. Shatter Spleen, crits bleed. That's insane. You don't have to build bleed at all, which is Tri-Tip Dagger. I think I don't think it gives a bit of crit chance. Gain 5% crit chance, which is something I didn't actually mention about this guy here. Laser Scope. It makes it so your crits do double damage, but it doesn't give any crit chance for some reason. But this item's really good. This is probably one of the better yellow items. Really, really good. You're bleeding everything if you're critting everything. On Bandit, on Railgunner, you're just always bleeding. And bleed's really strong. Murph and Perf, Molten Perforator, and what's this one called? Charge Perforator. It's Murph and Churf. Pretty much, you hit something, there's a chance that it shoots out fireballs or electric blasts that chain onto other things. It's another chain item. These are the other two good yellow items. It's just more damage flowing around, more AoE, less you have to focus on the smaller enemies that can chip away at your health bar. Really good. Titanic Neural, more health, more regen. It's another one of those sustain items. It's not great. You could be getting more damage with this. You could be getting something to actually like help you deal damage. It's not amazing. Defense Nucleus, I think, is the next one. Killing elite monsters spawn an Alpha Construct, which are the little like triangle guys that shoot at you, with 300% bonus damage and 300% health, limited to 4. This item is pretty bad. If you've played Risk of Rain, you know that the little fucking triangle guys in the ground are pretty inconsequential. They're one of the smaller enemies, like the Wisps, but they can't move, and they do a bit more than Wisps, but even then, it's not a lot. You're not getting a lot out of this, especially for a boss item that's less common. This is taking up your free teleporter item when you could have almost anything else. I'm tempted to put it in F. It's really not good. I guess it doesn't hurt you. Like, I wouldn't say that a run is pretty, like, ruined from it, but it's not great. Been talking for an hour, almost 2 hours straight. This is by far the longest too, so I have 2 more planned for afterwards that'll take like 10-20 minutes between the 2 of them. Loop, Genesis Loop, getting below 25% health, makes a giant radius that explodes around you. It's like... recharges every 30 seconds? I don't know why it's written like that. It's recharges every 30 seconds. It doesn't say the range of the explosion. It's the same explosion range as the Wandering Vagrant. It does 6,000% base damage. It's pretty good, but again, you don't even want to be seeing yourself get to that low of health. It's pretty bad. Like, it's fun. It's really good for learning the game. It's really good if you're not, like, super good at the game, but on the Eclipse level of the game, you don't want to be seeing it. It's not going to be... Planula is bad. Heal from incoming damage for 15%. So every time you take damage, you're healing 15 HP. 15 HP flat. And as I've mentioned before, flat healing is not good. It's really bad. Specifically, the healing items have flat numbers. A couple of them have flat numbers. I don't know why they did that. It's really not good. It's going to be down here with Defense Nucleus. You're just not... for a boss item, it's really not great. Next... You have Pearl, and I'm going to do a Radiant Pearl afterwards. Pearl increases max HP by 10%. It's pretty much the same thing as Titanic Neural. It's not amazing. But the Radiant Pearl increases all stats by 10%, which is really good. Stats are important. You're getting more damage, more speed, more attack speed, healing, more health, more everything. It's just going to help overall. So these two items come from cleansing pools. Sacrifice a lunar item, which are these blue ones that are already pretty rare. This one has an 80% chance to get dropped. This one has a 20% chance to get dropped when you sacrifice the lunar item. It's good. It's not great. You almost never see them anyway. Next is Empathy Cores. It comes from Solus Control Unit. Every 30 seconds, summon 2 Solus Probes, which are the smaller ones that fire a laser at enemies. It's really good on Mithrix for taking aggro off of you if you really need to heal and run. It's going to be up here. Arguably the best. It does get the benefits from spare drone parts. It is count as a drone. Really good. Really, really good. It's just more damage, it's more aggro off of you. That's probably the best part about Beetle Guard, is it's taking a lot of aggro off of you, but this is just so much better that this is pretty bad. Yellow Scrap is pretty similar to Red Scrap. You're never seeing this ever. Mirrored Urn. While in combat, the nearest 1+1 per stack enemy within you within 13 meters will be tethered to you, dealing 100% damage per second, applying tar, which is pretty much slowness, and healing you for 100% of the damage that you dealt. So you're pretty much siphoning health off of enemies, and they can't really get away from you, but it's not doing enough damage to where it's noticeable. It will be sustained a lot more than you're noticing the damage it's dealing, though. I'd say it's pretty high in A tier. Or not A tier, sorry, B tier. It's definitely not A tier. Yeah, it's fine. For a boss item, it's not amazing, but it's still good. Little Disciple, fire a Tracking Wisp for 300%, plus 300 per stack, damage, fires every 1.6 seconds while sprinting, which you should always be doing. Some characters you can shoot while sprinting, so you'll never stop sprinting. This is just more damage constantly, deals with the smaller enemies, which I've mentioned a lot, but it's really helpful. It's going to be probably near the top of A tier. You're always sprinting, which means it's always activating. It's just really good. The last one is Halcyon Seed, which you will always, always, always get every time that you go to fight Ariel Knight in a specific... You have to pay money to a shrine, which will summon a specific portal to go there. Time freezes when you go there, so you can get level ups on your end. The enemies won't level up, and there's about 3 chests in there. It's pretty... I don't know if it's worth it, because you still have to spend a lot of time getting the money to afford the portal. And the item itself, the Ariolite usually doesn't really offer a lot. It's pretty similar to Beetle Guard, but probably better. It's going to be next to Mirrored Urn for that. And next we have the lunar items. So... Or not the lunar items, the void items. Void items are corrupted versions of the main items. So, Void Bear. Oh, it's below. Safer Spaces, which is Void Teddy Bear. Locks the next hit you take, recharges every 15 seconds, minus 10% per stack. Corrupts all tougher times. It's this, but S tier. But the bottom of S tier. It's really good. It'll block damage, which means that you can open lunar pods for free, you can do blood shrines for free, as long as you haven't taken damage prior to it. Pretty good. I almost always go for it. It's just the best void white item to take. Next is Needle Tick. 10% plus 10 per stack, chance to collapse an enemy for 400% base damage, corrupts all tri-tip daggers, which is this bleeding item right here. It's pretty good. Collapse is a really good status condition. It's a lot better on enemies, whereas they'll hit you and it'll do, you'll take like damage a couple seconds later from them. It does a lot. It's based on how much damage they dealt to you on the initial hit, which does a lot of damage if you're fighting imps or any bosses that get voided. If you get hit by a voided greater wisp, that's pretty much your run's dead. Like, you will probably die. It's really hard to deal with on their side, but on our side, it's not really that good. It does give a status for your Death Mark, which is nice. And it's probably better than Tri-Tip if you have a Shatter Spleen, but other than that, it's not amazing. Like, it's still good, don't get me wrong. I'd say it's better than Tri-Tip. I'd put it right above Tri-Tip Dagger, but compared to Saver Spaces, it's not amazing. Next, Lost Seer's Lens grants a 0.5% crit chance plus 0.5, or not crit chance, 0.5% chance to instantly kill anything you hit, plus 0.5% for every single stack. So 200 of these, you will insta-kill everything you touch. But you're never getting that. Maybe I'll get that at some point this year, just for fun, to test it out. But I love Lost Seer's Lens. It's pretty bad, right? Trading 10% crit, which usually does a lot more damage. It's 2 times damage, 4 times if you have laser scope, for 0.5% chance to insta-kill. Usually activates like 2 to 3 times per stage, I'd say. It's not bad, in my opinion. A lot of people really hate it, but I think it's a lot of fun. It's really funny when you start a teleporter boss and you shoot it once and it dies. It's a very rare occurrence, but it does cause for some laughter. I'd put it A tier. It is worse than the actual crit, but it's still pretty good. Wungus is probably the best single source of healing in the game. That's not where it's going. You heal. Weaving Fungus heals for 2%, plus 2 per stack of your health every second while you're sprinting. For what I just said about Little Disciple, you should always be sprinting. Really good. You're getting constant healing all the time. You should always be sprinting. I put it here. It is just the single best form of healing by far. There's no other healing even, like, the closest healing is Interstellar Desk Plant, which is not only a red item, but it's also a whole tier below it. Like, even like bottom of S, bottom to A, it's a whole tier below. What isn't key? Is that what it's called? Rusted Key. Corrupts the key, the rusted key, and you'll get a void box on the next stage, which gives you a void item of either white, green, red tier. It gives you 3 choices to pick from, which is really good because usually when you get 3 choices of a void item, you're getting something that you want. There's a couple that you don't want. A couple that are pretty mid, some bad, but probably top of A exactly. Like, it's insurance for next stage. You're getting something good next stage for sure, but it's nothing in the moment. I'm gonna do these two together. Plasma Shrimp and Polyloot. I can't explain on my own how good these items are. Polyloot corrupts Ukulele right here, which is already a good item. It's a shame that you're not be able to use both, but 25% chance to fire lightning for 60% total damage up to 3 times it corrupts Ukulele. So instead of shooting out to different enemies, you are shooting onto the same enemy for more procs onto the same enemy, which can proc onto other enemies, which makes it just Ukulele but better. You're, instead of taking 3 procs onto other enemies, it's onto one enemy. It's focusing down one enemy and still having other things proc to other enemies. While Plasma Shrimp, get a shield equal to 10% of your max HP. This corrupts ATG missiles, which is a really good item, but it gives 10% shield, which is about the same as this, maybe a little bit less, as maximum health. While you have the shield, hitting an enemy fires a missile that deals 40% total damage, corrupts ATGs. So these two together, pretty much, it removes the chance of ATG and just makes it so that way you are just hitting. I mean, it increases the chance of ATG. If Planula procs, this is gonna proc, which will make other things proc. Like I said earlier, these two are top 5 items, especially when paired together. Transcendence boosts this because when you don't have your shield, it's not activating, but if you always have shield, then it'll always be activating. Going from a top 5 item to a bottom 5 item, Singularity Band corrupts both of these 2 bands, which are, as you can tell, very good items. Hits that deal more than 400% damage, fire a black hole that draws enemies within 50 meters to its center, lasts for 5 seconds before collapsing, dealing 100% total damage, recharges every 20 seconds. So, double the cooldown of Kajaro Band and Runald Band. It does 1/7 of the damage. It draws enemies in, which is fine. I'd say you only pick this item up if you don't already have bands and it's like stage 4 or 5. This item is bad. It corrupts and gets rid of some of the best items in the game. You get something that is pretty okay. You're pretty much getting rid of your damage and group enemies together instead, which will be good if you have AoE. If not, it's pretty bad. It's getting rid of some, like, near perfect items. Next, Life State Cell. It'll corrupt Fuel Cell, which gives an extra charge of your equipment. This instead gives an extra charge of your... It's just rain. Okay. It gives an extra charge of your R skill, which will be for... I don't even know. Special skill. Special skill. This is fine on a lot of people. I'm going to put it right next to Fuel Cell, because it pretty much has the same effect. It really depends on the survivor. If you want to take that over Fuel Cell. Fuel Cell can help you make builds with equipment, but this can be really good on some survivors. Again, Loader benefits from it a lot. She can do more slams, more pylons, which can flying enemies, and you can grapple off of them. You can skip pillars with this if you have pylon, if you're good enough. It's pretty difficult to do, though. Yeah, that's that one. Reticent Flame will corrupt your this item. And what it does is, instead of making this on kill, it makes it on hit, which makes it very... It depends on what you're building. If you're building builds with safe... what's the item called? Building a build with Forgive Me Please, it will automatically fire your on-kill effect over and over again until the equipment runs out. If you're doing that, I'd say keep this. If not, Voidescent Flame's usually better. It's more helpful on Mithrix because a lot of the enemies around you, you're not always killing, but you'll always at least do a little bit of damage to them, so this will always proc, dealing a little bit more damage, so it's more useful for Mithrix, which makes it a little bit better. Tentabobble, if you have 4 stacks of this, Mithrix can't move, which is pretty free. 5% chance, plus 5 per stack chance to root enemies for 1 second, plus 1 second per stack, preps all Chrono Bubbles. So with 4 stacks of it, it is a 20% chance to root them, which keeps them in place for 4 seconds, and should be doing damage fast enough to get another root off before he's unrooted. So it's pretty free. If you're doing a ranged character, if you're playing Commando, and you have this, you can just stay at a range and just shoot him over and over again. He's gonna stay still. It's really good. It's not insanely good because you need stacks for this to do a lot. It's still gonna be fine on less stacks, but it's not amazing. Next is Benthic Boom. And Benthic, it upgrades plus 3 per stack random items to items of the next higher rarity at the start of each. So it will take 3 of your random items and all of the stacks you have of it, and it'll take whites to greens, greens to reds, which would sound really good. You get a lot more red items, and red items do a lot, cause a lot, but not only does it corrupt 57 Leaf Clover, second best item in the game, it's also random. And a lot of these red items are really good because of the builds you can make with them. Like Sentient Meat Hook isn't going to be as good if you don't have nukes, if you don't have any of like the lower items that actually proc it. Since all of your items are going to be getting upgraded, you cannot make a build. Physically cannot make a build with this item because it will change things randomly to something that you might not even want. You can have 5 crowbars, and then next stage it'll be 5 leeching seeds. It's really risky and not good. I'm gonna put it in D tier because it still can be good. Red items are usually the best items in the game, but getting rid of 57 Leaf Clover, destroying your build, is not worth it. Propotent Larva. I mentioned this earlier when I was talking about revives. Upon death, this will revive you. And upon reviving, all of the items that can get voided will get voided. Your bands will turn into Singularity Band, your 57 Leaf Clover will turn into Benthic Boom, and all of the above. Needle Tick, get Life State, you'll get Voidescent, you'll get Key, all of them. Only if you already have their normal versions. This is generally considered better since usually void items, with the exception of these two, are really fucking good. Your yellows, all of your boss items will turn into this, which I'll get into in a second. It's the only way to get this item. Yeah, it's good. You're getting revived, and your items are usually getting stronger. Like, I have this ranked right above it, this ranked right above it, this ranked right above it. These are way higher than their counterparts. These are way higher than their counterparts. This is arguably worse, but on average, you're getting better items. I'm going to put this in A tier, probably top of A, because it is reviving you, which is good. You have another chance. You don't have to play nearly as perfectly, and your items are getting stronger, so even after you're getting revived, you're not just getting fucked again, you are actively strengthening your. And the next one, I don't even know the name of this item because I've used newly hatched Zuka. It corrupts all of your boss items, and what it does is every 60 seconds, minus 50% per stack, get a random void ally, which is any of the void enemies that attack you. Those ones are pretty scary enemies. They can easily end a run if you're not paying attention enough. And they'll become your allies. Not all. I think void enemies also stop attacking you, which is good. But the problem with it is that the explosion that void enemies do when they die, the like big range that OHKOs you, they also still do that and can also still take you out. So if they die and you're in their range and you get stunned or anything, you are dead. Will lose you. And you no longer have your larva that you used to obtain this item, so that's that. That's all you get. But the void enemies can still be helpful, and not getting targeted by void enemies good. You just have to pay attention to another thing, and it can be overwhelming, but it's still good. I'd say for corrupting your yellows, there's a lot of really good yellows. Whatever, I think it's fine. I put it B, it's fine. It's usually you don't get it on purpose. You can never take this item on purpose, which is also a bad part about it, but it's still good. I'd never complain about having it. It's just kind of scary to have. And next we're on to the lunar items. Lunar items are usually really bad. Really, really bad. They have an upside that can be insanely good, followed by a downside, which can be insanely bad. But starting off, we have Jester of the Drowned. This is the only one that doesn't have a bad side. Reduce equipment cooldown by 50%, forces your equipment to activate whenever it's off cooldown. So pretty much any equipment build that you're running that you need to fire them automatically, this will fire automatically for you and decrease cooldown. There's pretty much no bad side to this. This is the looping item. This is the, like, insanely busted item. Insanely busted item. These are the only two without downsides. Focus Convergence. Teleporter charges 30% faster. The size of the teleporter is 50% smaller. It stacks as you'd imagine it to a stack. 30% bigger per stack, 50% smaller per stack. I like this item. This is really good on Eclipse because teleporters charge slower on Eclipse, and you don't really need the size anyway. Like, if you know how to use your space correctly, then you need the size. The only time it can be hard is if you need pillars and those little shits that make the fiery ore on the ground that makes you can't stand there, can make charging pillars slower. But other than that, still really good. It's going to be high A tier. Faster you get through things, the lower the enemy levels are, and the faster you can go. Next one's Brittle Crown, I think. Brittle Crown, 30% chance on hit to gain 2 + 2 per stack gold, scales over time, which means that you're getting more than 2 in later stages. Lose gold on taking damage equal to 100% of the maximum health percentage that you lost. So, if you're good at the game, you're going to be getting a lot more gold faster, and if you're bad at the game, you're going to be losing a lot of gold, and you should never pick it up. So this is really skill dependent. It's going to be next to Focus Convergence. These are the two iffy lunar items. This one's also pretty iffy. These two, actually. The other ones are all pretty garbage. Because next, we have Light Flux Pauldron, decrease skill cooldowns by 50%. That sounds really good. Decrease attack speed by 50%. That's really bad. Your attack cooldowns, or your skill cooldowns being low is really nice. You can do a lot with that. But if you're not attacking fast enough, then you're not really doing any damage. I'm gonna put it C tier. I kind of have to put it F tier because it does really ruin your run. You can't. I don't think you can win. No, you can win with this. It's just really bad. I'll put it bottom of D. F tier might get crowded. That's the only reason why. Next is Stone Flux Pauldron. This is probably the worst item in the game. Increase max health by 100%, which is fine. Reduce movement speed by 50%. You can't dodge anything. You can't get anywhere fast enough. You're not going to be able to loot at a reasonable pace. Your time's going to be high, which means that enemy levels are going to be really high. It's really not good. So I'm going to put it bottom of F. The worst item in the game. The max health you get from it is pretty inconsequential when you can't even dodge attacks from any enemies, which means that they have double health, but like can't dodge anything. So you're just taking over double damage. Purity is the opposite of 57 Leaf Clover. It halves your luck. Everything will roll a less fortunate outcome, but all of your skill cooldowns are reduced by 2 seconds, +1 per stack, and it's same half luck per stack as well. If you're not running a proc chain, if you're not running any anything that has chance 2, this item's insane. You don't need luck. If you don't have your ukes, if you don't have anything like that, you can still win a run without them. It's harder. It's an entirely different game. You have to really focus on more things around you, but you'll be firing shit way more fast. It's really dependent on your run. These three can really depend on your run. And Shaped Glass is pretty similar. Increases your base damage by 100%. You're dealing double damage, but it reduces your maximum health by 50%. Your health is halved. So it's really based on confidence. I am not really at a point where I have the confidence to be using this item a lot. It's really scary. It can be difficult, but double damage is double damage. You can shred Mithrix with that. You get lunar pods on the moon way more than you get them anywhere else. If you pick up one of these on the moon right before you go to Mithrix, and you're confident that you're not going to be taking damage, it does get rid of your one-shot protection. You will get one-shot by it. You can't not get one-shot when you have this. Again, this is all based on your luck, based on your skill, based on your run. You can't, like, in some runs, Purity could be the worst item in the game. In some runs, it could be top 10. It really depends. The next couple items, I'm going to group them together. It's Essence of Heresy, Hooks of Heresy, Visions of Heresy, and Strides of Heresy. That's going to be this one, this, and this. These items are difficult. They replace all of your skills, your primary, your secondary, your utility, and your special. Each one does a different one, and it gives them something different. I haven't played around with them enough to really tell you how good they are. Visions is really good on Loader, because you don't have to be up close and personal. You can turn more into a burst character, where instead of being up in their face and just kicking the shit out of them, you can be across the map shooting them while also going in for your burst damage, your punch, your slam every now and then. Pretty good. The other ones I don't have enough on them, but if you gather all 4 of them in one run, turn into an entirely different survivor altogether known as the Heretic, who I have never played personally myself. But I'm going to put them in C tier. It really depends on the survivor you're playing, how good each of them are. If you're playing a survivor that has no movement, Strides is really good because it gives you a new skill. If not, usually you don't want to take it. But again, it really depends. Then we have Egocentrism. Every 3 minus 50% per stack seconds, gain an orbiting bomb that detonates on impact for 360% damage up to a maximum of 3 bombs, 1 per stack. Every 60 seconds, a random item is converted into this item. So it's pretty similar to Benthic Bloom, but instead of upgrading your items, it's turning them into even more egocentrism. Why, that's the name of the item. It's egotistical. It's fine. It does enough damage to sustain losing items, but it does suck when you have, like, sometimes you lose a Leeching Seed and you're like, cool, that's an upgrade. Sometimes you lose a band and you're like, well, that fucking sucks. I wish I never picked this up. So it's really dependent on the run. I'm gonna send it in C tier as well because it can be good as well, but it really depends on the build you have. If you don't have a good build going for you on stage 4, I'd say pick it up, because you're not going to win the run anyway, and there's a chance you can win with that if you play it right, but it's really weird. Beads of Fealty does literally nothing. This item does absolutely nothing. It lets you access a secret boss when you go to obliterate. That's about it. The boss is just a scavenger, but coated with the paint of white, I believe. And you don't get an achievement for it or anything. That's the only use. To fight Gouge, the next item, using a shrine summons enemies. Stronger per stack nearby, scales over time. It's not great. You usually don't want this. It's good early game when you're trying to get more enemies, more money, but late game, kind of can't hit Shrines of Chance, because then you're going to be summoning 5 elite Raider Wisps on you, and there's nothing you can do about that. D tier, probably. It's not great. What is this next one? Is this the new one? Yes, Longstanding Solitude. On level up, gain a free unlock for the next purchase. So the next chest you touch will be free. But all gold is converted into experience. Anything that costs gold is increased by 50%. So you cannot buy chests on your own. You're leveling up a lot faster. This item was supposedly bad at first impression, but a lot better as you keep playing. It's really bad in multiplayer. You don't let your friends play the game, which can be kind of funny, but like, I'm gonna put this at the bottom of A. You're leveling up a lot faster, which is a really difficult part of the game, because enemies will usually level up faster than... I've seen runs where you level up faster than enemies with this, and like, when I mean enemies level up faster than you, I mean usually the end of Eclipse runs, Mithrix is level 55-ish, and you're level like 20-ish. This makes you almost equal. You can be almost equal level, which that's equal, like you're not getting as overwhelmed. Which is why items are so powerful, because they keep up. They keep you like similar. The next one, Marukural, I have no clue. Creates a ward of power in a random location nearby that buffs both enemies and allies within 16 meters, causing them to deal plus 50% damage. It's not great. It's usually buffing enemies more than it's buffing you, because you have to move around a lot. You have to dodge shit. They will usually stay. There's a lot of enemies that stay in the same spot. Your mushrooms, your the fucking volcano head guys that shoot missiles at you. A lot of enemies stay pretty stationary. Even then, if you're trying to get the bonus, enemies are going to run at you into the zone, and then you have to run away, and then they're going to be in the zone. It's not great. It's gonna go in D tier. Next, Eulogy 0. Items have a 5% chance, plus 5% per stack, to become lunar items instead. So you open a chest, has a chance to become a lunar item. Works on red chest, which is the worst part about it. Other than that, it's pretty good, depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking to get some of these items in your run, if your run isn't looking great and you find a Eulogy 0, this can help a lot, but it's another one of those situational blooms, so I'm gonna stick it with the rest of them. Next, Corpse Bloom, heal, double healing, I guess heal plus 100%, plus 100 per stack. All healing is applied over time and can heal for a maximum of 10 HP, minus 50% per stack of your max health per second. So, it caps your healing at 10%, 5% if you get 2, which you never should. But your healing is doubled, which it's not great. There's a very, very, very specific build you can do with this, with Aegis, with Planula, and 1 or 2 other items that makes it really good, but it's so hard to do, and it's not worth it at that rate that it's just going in, like, probably C tier. It's not really that good. I'll put it next to this fucker. And these 4 are all equipments. These are all equipment blue items. Have an upside, have a downside. I mentioned this one earlier. This is... We're in a different section, aren't we? Play with the equipments? Yeah, okay. First one is Hellfire Tincture. It's the AoE fiery aura that damages you and enemies. It can be useful for certain builds. Other than that, it's pretty bad. I'm gonna stick it in B tier. Effigy of Grief. All characters within are slowed by 50% and have their armor reduced by 20%. Place up to 5. You place it on the ground. It's pretty much the same thing as this one, but it's speed, and it hurts you more than it hurts them because your speed matters way more than their speed. It's really bad, and its main use is for trolling people, which is the same thing as Glowing Meteorite. It rains meteors from the sky, damaging all characters for 600% damage per blast, lasts for 20 seconds. This is a run under. It's not worth picking up. It's just bad. And Spinel Tonic, only good lunar, also known as drugs. Drink the tonic, gaining a boost for 20 seconds, increase damage by 100%, increase attack speed by 70%, increase armor by 20%, increase max health by 50%, increase passive health regen by 300%, increase movement speed by 30%. Sounds really good. Tonic wears off, you have a 20% chance to gain a tonic affliction, reducing all of your stats by 5%. 5% per stack of tonic affliction. So, this item's really bad unless you get this item right here, in which your cooldown will never wear out and you'll always have the drug buff. So, I'm gonna put it top of A, because it's interesting. It's usually bad, but it's fine in certain circumstances. It's really good in certain circumstances. Onto the equipment, we have, what is this one called? An accumulator. 120 second cooldown, fires a blast, 600% damage per second, 20 meter explosion for 400% or 4000% damage. Pretty good. Sounds not amazing. You could have better utility with it. I'm gonna put it B tier. A lot of the equipment's just gonna be B tier because it's just there's other things that have better uses than it. This one probably here. Next, Primordial Cube. It makes the same black hole that this thing does, but it's not trying to do damage like this, so it's a lot better. Good utility, good for grouping up enemies. Higher in A tier, or higher in B tier though, because it definitely has more utility, probably about here. Radar Scanner, it tells you where everything on the map is, every chest, every shrine, every teleporter, everything, any hidden chests as well, which usually have red items and are free. But when you could have something way better, this isn't great. Go in C tier. It's good, but there's better options. I'd say replace it whenever you can. Trophy Hunter Tricorn is one of the newer equipments. It was in the first DLC. It instantly kills any teleporter boss. Doesn't work on Mithrix. And it will drop their yellow item. This is really good. You want to be using this on, like, anyone that drops any of these items especially, because these are all boss exclusive. Like, only one boss will drop each of these. And it's consumed on use. It turns into this. This is consumed Trophy Hunter Tricorn. When you use it, all it does is put a text message in chat that says ahoy. It does nothing. It'll be F tier, but it's funny. I want you to know that it is F tier, but it is the funniest item in the game. Because especially if you have these guys up here, you'll just constantly be spamming ahoy into chat, and it's really... Flash Shower's next. It's the same as Ben's Raincoat. It removes all of your status conditions from you. Instead of doing one constantly, this will be all of them for a 20-second cooldown. It's not bad. I'd recommend other things, though. It's definitely on the sustain side of items. That's about all I have to say about it. Next is DML, Disposable Missile Launcher. I've alluded to this item a lot on this stream. Fires a swarm of 12 missiles that deal 12 times 300% damage, 45-second cooldown. Everything is tripled by Pocket ICBM if you have it. It's probably going to be the second highest rated equipment. No. We'll get into what's higher than it later, but it's insanely good. Has really good synergies with a lot of items in the game, and just a lot of fun to use. Ocular HUD, gain 100% crit chance for 8 seconds. Pretty good. I want to put it in A, not high in A. I'll probably put it right next to Laser Scope, actually. More crits, never bad. There's not really much more to say about it. And following that is Forgive Me Please. You throw a cursed doll on the ground that triggers all of your on-kill effects every second for 8 seconds. I've alluded to this a couple times as well. Really good in certain builds, but it's very specific. Excuse me, you're not seeing a lot of use out of it unless you're doing a specific build. Again, A tier. I'm gonna drink some water. Next. Oh god. Is the backup. Call 4 drones to fight that last for 25 seconds. Does get buffed by spare drone parts. It's not great. It has a 100-second cooldown, and the drones don't really do a whole lot. They hardly take any aggro, and they don't really do a whole lot of damage. It's going to be a D tier item. I'd say replace, like, take this if it's the first one you find, but as soon as you find something else, you replace it. Our first S tier equipment is going to, what's it called? Volcanic Egg. What this item does is you turn into a ball of fire that flies around. It explodes after 5 seconds, deals 500% damage on impact and 800 when you detonate it. The only reason it's S tier is because it's a free pillar skip. You do not have to do pillars on the moon, you go straight to Mithrix. Foreign Fruit is a quick activate one. It's only 45 seconds. Instantly heal you for 50% of your max HP. It's not bad. It's good sustain. We go B tier. Jade Elephant. Gain 500% armor for 5 seconds. Good sustain. B tier. Eccentric Vase. Create a quantum tunnel of up to 1,000 meters in length that lasts for 30 seconds that teleports. 3 pillar skip. It's going to be S tier. It's going to be below Volcanic Egg because it doesn't take damage, but it is good for getting out of certain circumstances and for traveling the map faster. 45-second cooldown. Next is the Crowdfunder. It takes your money and turns it into bullets that deal 100% damage per bullet. It has no cooldown. You can turn it on and off as whenever you want, but you have to have money to use it. $1 per bullet that does 100% damage per bullet. It's really bad on early stages, and it's pretty okay on later stages. I'll put it in the same bunch as these ones. Gubo Jr. This is the next one. It spawns a gummy clone that has 300% damage and 300% health, and expires in 30 seconds. It's just you. It's another body, pretty much. It's like Ditto in Smash. It's just another body. It can't pick up items or chests, though. Just another body to deal damage, soak up damage. It's fine. Another B tier. This one's more fun than the other ones, but it's less useful. Seed of Life revives you on death and then turns into a smaller healing item that pretty much is just Monster Tooth, this item, the drops healing orbs, but better. It's going to be S tier just purely based off the fact that it revives and it's not a red item. Put it next to the other revive item. It's pretty good. I enjoy it a lot. Milky Chrysalis. You get wings, lets you fly. It's the weakest of the pillar skip items, though. It's a 60-second cooldown. Lasts for 15 seconds. You do gain 20% movement speed, though, which is pretty nice. Oh, the rapid fire round's almost over. We have Supermassive Leech. Heal for 20% of the damage that you deal. Lasts for 8 seconds. It's okay. Bottom of B. Prion Accumulator, 20-second cooldown, deal 3,000 damage and stunning nearby monsters to something that you hit. This is insane. This is the strongest equipment. It does a fuck ton of damage, and it is like the most commonly used any of them. Next, Molotov 6-pack in parentheses, important to know, throws 6 Molotov cocktails that ignite enemies for 500% base damage. Molotov leaves a burning area for 100% damage per second. Fine. The B tier. It's fine to have. It's area control. It makes it so that way there's like a safe space for you out there that makes it so that way you aren't really taking as much damage from it. It's fine. It's not amazing, but it's good to have. Mom's credit card, or also known as what is the actual name? Executive card. Executive card makes chests 20% cheaper, 10% cheaper, and you can get every item in a multi-shop. More items, less money, really good. I'm gonna put it probably top of A tier. It's really good for gathering items and getting like exact items that you. Wood Sprite, shortest cooldown, 15 seconds. Heals you for 1.5% of your max health every second. Can be sent to an ally if you're playing multiplayer to heal them for 10% of their maximum health. Really, really good item. I really enjoy using Wood Sprite. It doesn't sound like it does a lot, but it's almost never off of cooldown, and it can proc anything that procs off of your equipment really fast. It'll be A tier for me. Probably... Next to Forgive Me, Please. Sounds right. Next we have... What is the name of this one? On the wiki? Recycler. It re-rolls any item that you drop. It'll be the same rarity as the item that's dropped, though. So, you open a chest, you get a bison steak. You're not happy, you re-roll it with this equipment. It is a 45-second cooldown, I believe? Yeah, 45-second cooldown, and it can turn into any other white item. It could be a crowbar, it could be glasses, it could be whatever. Really, really good for getting exactly what you want. You can leave bad items on the ground and re-roll them later if you want to get something else. Really good. Sawmerang, shoots out 3 saws that deal 3 times 400% damage. It'll bleed enemies that last for 3 times... Oh. Yeah, it does an additional 3 times 100% damage per second while bleeding enemies, and can strike them again on the way back because it's a Sawmerang. One of the better damage equipments out there. Probably gonna go below all of these iffy loots. Almost there. We have Borag's Opus. All allies enter a frenzy for 7 seconds. This works on your whole team if you're playing multiplayer. Increase movement speed by 50% and attack speed by 100%. It's pretty good. It's really similar to Ocular HUD. Just a little bit worse. I'm gonna put it above it to keep the crit items together. And our final normal equipment, our final normal item is Remote Caffeinator. Remote Caffeinator drops a giant soda machine from the sky, does 2,000% damage if it hits an enemy, which it doesn't. You can spend money on it to buy a soda, heals up to 3 targets for 25% of their maximum health. This can be really good with this item here, the fireworks, because you can constantly be buying stuff and activating this. Where's the other item that activates on buying something? I don't remember off the top of my head, but it can be good. It can be pretty good. It's build specific and it does provide a bit of sustain. I'll leave it B tier. And then the essences, I'm not gonna rank these. These are all very rare. You'll never see them. It gives you the power of the elite that you kill. Most of them are really, really bad. So they're not even worth discussing unless it's this one specifically, which only like 5 people have ever gotten in their life anyway. This is going to be the end of the list. That is my list of the best items in. So, our list is prepared. And they won't take nearly as long, I promise you. Our next one is on stages. I'm just gonna rapid fire these. Abandoned Aqueduct, really fucking good. You get free bands, have good enemy pool, nothing that's super annoying, good stage layout in general, a lot of chests spawn. Next is Hell, or whatever the fuck the actual name is. This stage gives you a free red item. It gives free red chest, really good. Has a decent enemy pool, nothing that's super overwhelming. You're not getting any super obnoxious enemies on it. It's fine. It's good. It's one one of the best stages in the game. You get free red chest. You get probably, I think, is the biggest item pool in the game. This may be actually the best stage. These stages aren't stages. I'm gonna, not a stage. This is where you obliterate. This is where you fight that secret boss I was talking about earlier. This is a looping mechanism. This is the shop. What the fuck is that? Is that the moon? I don't know what this is. We're gonna save this for the end because I don't know what it is. This is the newer stage 2 that came in the Survivors of the Void, or Seekers, yeah, Survivors of the Void. Pretty annoying enemy pool, has a lot of cleansing pools, so it's pretty good. Decent item selection. I've grown to like it a lot more over my time playing the game. I didn't like it a lot at first, but it's solid A. It's pretty good. This is my least favorite stage 1. It's not amazing. It's pretty vertical, which is challenging for some people. Man, this guy. Not need your bot-ass message in my chat, but thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's very vertical. A lot of gaps you can fall in. Not a lot of chests. I think this might have the lowest chest pool in the game. It's not fun. This is the RLA dimension. Yeah, not good. Probably C tier. It's not bad by any means, but it's not amazing. This one, another stage 1 variant. It's newer. It came in the newest DLC. Biggest problem with this one, it is a stage 1 level item pool. I think it has the most items on stage 1 that you can get, but it is also extremely large. It is like stage 4 levels of big, which makes it harder to get items fast. I want to say I like it, but it can't be higher than C because it's just too long and inconsistent. What the fuck is this? I believe I'm gonna save this one for later because it might be something I. This is the new stage 5 that is the second stage 5. We only had 2 for a very, very long time. It's not great. I much prefer the other one. It's not bad, I wouldn't say. It has a very obnoxious enemy pool. You have your the fireworm. You got the fireworm. You have children are really annoying. You have usually a lot of the late game enemies. You have your Elder Lemurians. You have your Terrans. You have the boss selection's fine. It'll be B tier. It's a stage 5, so it can't really be bad, but it's not amazing. This is the stage 3. I'm not great with the stage names, but this one, it's not amazing. This is not a stage 3 I look forward to seeing. Pretty annoying enemy pool. You have your blind pests. You have your bisons are just kind of there. You have the little poison guys that jump on you and poison you. Obnoxious enemies can shred your health. Elites can pretty much one-shot you. It's not great. Small item pool as well, because a lot of the item selection is taken up by Shrines of Order, which are really bad. I don't think Shrines of Chance can even spawn on this stage. It's not good. Bad, actually. This is the route-specific stage 2. It's fine. Smaller item pool than I think usual stage 2s have, but other than that, it's pretty average. You unlock Chef here. That's a cool fact. This is another stage 3. It's pretty linear in the way the maps made out. If you don't have a lot of movement, you kind of have to follow a specific path that doesn't branch a whole lot to get from point A to point B. It has a lot of chests though. It's a really good chest map, and I really like the way it's designed and how it looks. Pretty good, pretty solid stage overall. I'll put an A. Oh, do they have stage variants as well? Because this is the same thing as this. I am not going to do that. Let's jump around. This is Verdant Falls. This is a newer one. It's a new stage 1. It's pretty fun. I really like this stage. There's a lot of chests on it. You get a guaranteed either large chest or scrapper in the same spot every time. Really good stage. Top of A for me so far. This is not a stage. This is not a stage. That's the Void Fields. This is not a stage. Titanic Plains is it's like the default map. This is the first map I ever played on. It's stage 1. It's generic grasslands. I really like it. It feels very comfy and homey compared to a lot of the other stage 1s. And a lot of the other stages in general, it feels very tame, which is good. It keeps nerves low for me. It's a big thing compared to being in fucking hell. Can help a lot. But I like the color palette as well. It's very well, it's pleasing on the eyes. I will stick it A tier. This should be higher. This is the route specific stage 3. Not great. It has the linear problem with this stage, but it's not nearly as like item expansive, especially compared to the other stage 3s. It's not amazing. It is better, however, than this one though. Next we have, this is Siren's Call. This is my least favorite map in the game. I'm actually going to remake the F tier, because I actually despise this map. This map is horrible. The problem with this map that I have is that the red item you get for free on this map comes in the form of a boss that can actually be pretty challenging to kill on some Eclipse runs, and you cannot get 2 items from the red with a Sail Star, and have to fight the boss to get it. And I mean, you don't have to fight the boss itself, but more often than not, the boss is going to get activated by accident, even if you're not trying to go for it. If you know you can't get it, it's going to be activated anyway. It's really difficult to deal with sometimes. It's not fun. The classic stage 5 is my favorite stage in the game. Banger music. I'm going to actually switch it on right now if I can find it in the playlist. Rain, formerly known as Purple song. It's the peak of Chris Christianino music, in my opinion. Really good, but can't really say much more after that. This stage is also really difficult. Stage 3 has the poison pods everywhere that can deal a lot of damage to you. Really obnoxious enemy pool. You have your blind pests, the poison jumpy guys I was talking about earlier. You have greater wisps. You have beetle guards. You have just like probably the worst selection of enemies in the game. It's probably gonna be the only other F tier. I really, but this one, so blanking on the enemy name, or the stage names right now. But this stage, it's a stage 4 variant. It has the red chest. It's really, music's really good. Not that bad of enemy pools. You get gups, which are free money pretty much. You get stone titans or golems. You get the poison guys can be kind of annoying. That's pretty much the only bad enemy in my opinion. You get Elder Lemurians. You get Lemurians. You get, and that might be it. That might be it. Not a bad enemy selection at all. I think this, if you don't get the secret, the back path in hell, this has the most items on it. Pretty good. This stage 2 variant kind of sucks. It's hard to see anything, really bland color palette, pretty uninspired. Has the jellyfish, so does this one. Blind pests, wisps, all the lovely enemies that you just not care to see. It'll be C tier though. It's not the worst. I think I'd rather have it than this one. Next we have, this has to be the moon. The moon's not on here. I'm gonna guess this is the moon. The moon's annoying, but it's classic. I can't not put it S. It's really good. This is the snowy stage 1 variant. Has the most chests on stage 1. It's really good. It's really pretty. I love snow. It's already winning favors for me. And this, I think this is where you fight False Sun. That's not really a stage. That's a boss fight arena. I mean, so is this. It's just it's like the same thing, but not. I'll put it up. Probably B tier. And this is, have we figured out what this is? Is the 3rd stage of the route specific? As I see it elsewhere, that's what it's. No, that's this. What is this? I think this is also a stage variant. I think that's it. I think this is all the stages. So, pretty good. Pretty top heavy. C tier is the most, but A and S both have a lot. Overall, I'd say I like the stages. Even the C tier ones, a lot of them aren't bad. A lot of them are just like, I prefer other ones. I'll actually move these up. I think I get different opinions on these. Yeah, pretty good overall. Risk of Rain has a lot of really good stages. The final tier list that I have and is the Survivor tier list, and this is based on my own personal skill and opinions on them. I'm just gonna fill it out real quick. Loader, Bandit, Seeker. Then down a tier we have Acrid, Commando, Artificer. Down, I'll put Railgunner up there as well. Void Fiend, Multi. I don't really play a lot of the rest of these. Probably False Sun. I've never played you before. Let me make a never played tier. Or like, not enough information, NA, I'll probably put. That's gonna be you and you. I have not played Rex enough to formulate an opinion on him, and I have never played the Heretic. Merc I've done like a couple runs with, not a lot. I don't think Engineer is the most fun. I have never played Chef, just because he's too new. Captain and... I don't really have a lot to talk about with the Survivor tier list. I have my 300 hours in Risk of Rain. I'd say like 150 of them are Loader and 100 of them are Bandit, so I haven't really like branched out a lot. I usually like to solo main a lot of games just based on like playstyle wise. I like to focus hard into one character, and that's something I'm gonna try to change this year. I'm gonna at least remake this tier list at the end of the year so I can know how I feel about these characters. I want to have a lot more of them up. I want to have most of them at least A, some of them B. I want to play these characters. I want to... Captain seems like a lot of fun. Multi-C is really good. This character is like the best in the game, I think. But I hardly know Merc at all. I don't even have all the achievements, so one day this year we're gonna spend a couple months learning the characters and branching out from the... But that's going to be not the run of the day, but the Risk of Rain of the day for today. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for an actual... Thank you.